Welcome in, folks. Welcome in. Thank you so very much for being here. Surely do appreciate it. Hope you're having a wonderful Weasel Wednesday. We are here ready for some Mouse Guard. Omni, what's good?
Hello, everyone. I'm the last Tech, your favorite American, and thank you, Derek, as always, for this awesome opportunity to once again run my little dorky passion game of Mouse Guard. I'm happy to be here. So, gonna just quickly address the elephant in the room because we're gonna do our little introductions and our recaps as always of Mouse Guard, and I'm going to position my camera a little better so it's center. Red isn't here tonight. Red's taking the night off. Dude's been working really hard lately. We're giving him the evening off. But don't worry, there's still plenty of stuff happening. You can find Red at his own channel, twitch.tv/VA Redemption. I believe it's VA Redemption on Twitch, right? It's not Redemption VA.
On Twitch, it's the opposite of his Twitter. I think his Twitter is VA Redemption, and then his Twitch is
so it's Redemption VA. Yeah, you can find him on his Twitch there. He does a bunch of stuff, including a bunch of games. He's an awesome artist. He's doing a giveaway on Twitter. Go do the
opposite of that one. Yeah, we got it right. Yeah.
Yes.
I forgot I have the command.
Yeah. Go check out his Twitter. He's currently giving away super awesome brainstorm proxies for Magic the Gathering. And by that, I mean a game that involves Magic and Gathering for legal reasons.
Gathering Magics.
Indeed. Super awesome character. Super awesome dude. He'd normally be playing Giles, the Wolfram Lord, and everyone's favorite slightly Scottish mouse. Very Scottish mouse. But, you know, he's simply off doing other tasks today. As for you two, introduce yourselves and give me a recap for Fate or Persona, as you all know how the drill goes.
Natalie, start us off.
You start, because I don't remember all that happened last session.
Neither do I. So last time we were... Where were we? We were in the aftermath of something? No, that was like 2 or 3 sessions ago.
You've technically been in the aftermath for a while. Like it's just been slowly playing out because the aftermath went from like one little thing to let's draw this out further.
True.
Oh wait, did we just get back from
scouting mission?
The scouting
mission was the session before that. We were dealing with the aftermath of the scouting mission because Giles went ahead and caused a mudslide or a rockfall. Sorry, Natalie, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we could both recap.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not gonna punish either of you two for like jumping in. By all means, go ahead.
I just realized I forgot to turn my lighting on. Anyway, so we continued along our getting chewed outage. We all got kind of talked to by the Queen of the Mouse Guard. I was not getting chewed out for once. I just kind of got for once. You know what? It didn't even dawn on me. I was the one that wasn't getting chewed out.
You were best weasel.
And
there was no issues.
Let's fucking go. I'm just gonna bask in that for a minute. This feels nice.
I'm gonna play Stray all the time, Natalie, or something. Nice. Yeah, no, you did everything right, buddy. It was great.
Yeah, I was just reacting for most of the session. I remember that distinctly.
Yeah, that's pretty fair.
It was pretty fun. I liked it.
So, yeah. Red's character had caused a mudslide as you all had been sent out as a scouting party after having very recently conquered Serpent's Run, a incredibly small predator fiefdom. I wouldn't call it a kingdom. I'd call it a fiefdom because it's that tiny. It's one liege lord and all his loser liege lords and all his loser liege noble servants. And you conquered that. And then a column of mice apparently were sighted advancing from the city of Gauntlet, which is run by I don't want to say a foe, because they're not a foe with you yet, but definitely
he's an enemy of mine. Definitely. Yeah. He's on my shit list for sure.
Oh yeah, no. You all seem to have it out for him, but he's technically not at war with you yet. You are, I would say, antagonistic with each other, but you are not like in open war yet. And so you guys heard there was this column, and so Gwendolyn was like, hey, go and scout this out. I'm putting you in charge, Cyanna. And Cyanna was like, yeah, I got this. You did your reconnoitering. Everything went great until Red's character, Giles, decided, well, the best kind of recon is force recon, and what greater force can I unleash than a force of nature, aka a rock slide, onto a column of mice? Which, as I recall, when you guys were like looking at it, you could see it looked like it was an aid convoy, which makes sense because you just conquered Serpent's Run and literally blew it up with like cannons and all sorts of crazy stuff. So an aid convoy made sense. And Red's character dislodged a number of boulders and dropped rocks onto the convoy and then fled. And you guys got back, and Gwendolyn pulled you all aside, razzed you a while, Cyanna, because you were in charge technically, and then razzed Giles way the fuck harder for being both technically your senior and also acting like a petulant child on mission and pissing her off. And then I believe the column arrived. And you guys kind of dealt with that.
That's accurate. Yeah.
So,
As much as we could.
yeah.
Natisha says
You
a
did-
complication arises. Sorry, go ahead, Natalie.
True.
I was just gonna finish off the recap because there were two things that I remember that I feel are important. That scary mouse, the one in all the leather with a bunch of knives or something like that,
Mhm.
that Giles had seen when he was back in town.
Oh, yes.
We got or at least Cyanna got the impression that he saw Giles push the boulders, or suspects that the rock slide wasn't of natural occurrence. Additionally, we also found 3 swords and uniforms in the one of the carriages that had the supplies that seemed to belong to the guards that Giles had disposed of. So I think that was also the scary mouse's way of saying, like, I know something's up with Giles.
I know what you did last summer.
Basically.
You-
It's the note you get that says, I know what you did.
You're not wrong, actually. And on top of that, yeah, you're right. Krennic, whose art I'm sharing at the moment.
That guy.
Yep,
Yeah.
I recently redid his art because
Looks
Thank
good.
you. I went through pretty much the whole art catalog, and I'm grabbing stuff and throwing it away and replacing it with new stuff because my skills are better now. Yeah, no, Krennic was not happy from what you could tell, and you're right. You probably think he suspected Giles. So, and I do see the complication arising. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It's coming. And that actually works out perfect for this session. So, yeah, the meeting went by. They said, yes, we're definitely here. We're bringing supplies. We lost some to a freak landslide, a couple of soldiers. But here, take these 4 to 5 carts laden with goods. They're for you, from Gauntlet. No charge. We just want to be friends. Goodbye. Marches army back the way it came from. And I believe the session ended off afterwards with you all having a sit down around a large bonfire with the other leaders of the tortoises to decide who was going to stay behind to fortify Serpent's Run, because Gauntlet made it abundantly clear by delivering aid that they are interested in this territory and that they were probably going to try to seize it. So they needed to leave a garrison behind. So you guys chose a veteran mouse by the name of William to stay behind with his tortoise and permanently turn Serpent's Run from a once serpent fiefdom into a mouse settlement, a mouse city permanent. And you have your technically what I would call your first fast travel slot on the map now unlocked. So you guys get Fate or Persona, your choice of whichever you'd like. Thank you both. Red, if you're out there watching, that's for you too, buddy. When he gets back, he'll get to.
Nice.
So, when you both are ready, we can begin.
Ready.
Sick. All right. So, last we ran, we ended off on the large campfire and all the patrol leaders and the mice drinking, making merry, as our friend William, the patrol leader, a mouse whose veterancy has seen him go through both a Weasel War, the Hedgeham War, and this deployment, is finally gleefully accepting the opportunity to build something new and not be forced to march on his peg leg any further, and stay behind to fortify Serpent's Run. We open on the morning. It is cold. Everything is still kissed with dew. The sun has barely begun to rise over the mountains, and the mouse expedition is slowly migrating along the hill. The heavily armored tortoises, clad in many different mice of many different stripes and cloaks, waving behind them as Serpent's Run disappears into the valley as you guys crest the mountains and head out. Gwendolyn has called a moot for you to discuss what's going to be coming, what the future plans are. So, Sienna, you've been invited. Also, you as well, Dukan, are invited as clearly at this point, trusted Weasel operative. Gwendolyn has openly conferred with you that she would rather you subdue your patrol leader than one of her mice. So that's a fair bit of
I do
trust.
remember that order. I distinctly remember her telling me next time to just knock him the fuck out.
Yeah.
That was the only modicum of ass chewing I got last session.
Yes. Which is pretty fucking cool, though. Like, that she's like, yeah, knock out one of my guards for me. So she invites both of you to her tortoise while the tortoises are on the move. Very shortly after you all crest the hill, and all the mice are out and about doing their thing, you hear the sounds of wood being slowly sawed through and rendered into new equipment. Just over the side of the hill, there's like one of the tortoises, and you can see there's some woodworkers on there sawing away at lumber on top of the thing as it moves forward. The smell of fire and roast food coming from across the entire expedition. Most folks are having breakfast, and you're probably going to have breakfast with the matriarch. Hey, Alec, how you doing, buddy? So, which of you two would get there first?
I would probably get there first, a bit early, eager to regain my status with her. I don't want her to be mad at me anymore.
Please forgive me, Mom.
I'd probably even bring some like freshly baked rolls or something.
Okay.
Something you'd eat for breakfast.
All right, that's fair. So if that's the case, then you probably have prepped some version of Gab Croon, which is sort of a food the mouse guard often eat. It is basically a type of hardtack with a lot of nuts in it and berries, like dried berries mixed into it. So it's actually kind of edible and not just disgusting, and it keeps forever.
It's like a granola bar, kind of.
Pretty much, yeah. Like, it's a little but imagine a granola bar that's baked to normal granola bar size for, like, mice. So you make Gab Croon, you get crap loads of it. You get bags of the stuff. So if that's the case, then let's see you make me a roll for this. Do you have baking by any chance?
I have baker.
That is exactly what we're looking for.
Okay.
So roll me baker.
Not bad. I mean, it's
That's good. Yeah.
Nuts and berries. It's only as good as nuts and berries are.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. Like, it's the whole trick with Gab Croon is it's like one of the first things that mice who are being trained as bakers are taught, because it's just so dang easy to cook. It's really like the most forgiving food. So that's enough to pass easily.
Mm-hmm.
You managed to make yourself a decent portion of it, enough to feed like 10 mice. So remember, you're a mouse. So like even a handful of like baking soda and leavening agent will create ridiculous amounts of food.
Yeah. I'll give the
So-
rest of it to the mice in my troop.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, no, they're all grateful for breakfast. Honestly, they all wake up and half of them set into it. One of them pops open a little can of jam and begins to use that. So yes, by the time you get there, it's pretty much like within a half an hour of you having been asked to do this. You just immediately, you were probably like in the process of making some gabcroon already. You just kind of increase the size of the recipe when the runner comes to let you know to be there. You get there about like a full 10 minutes before everyone else. Everyone else is still likely gathering up their supplies. And waiting for you there on the lead ship of the expedition, the Invicta, is Gwendolyn of the Mouse Guard. Seemingly alone, with only... You do see in the distance Preston, who's manning the ship's helm. His fancy cap flowing in the breeze. But other than that, the ship is largely quiet. The crew seem to be doing their jobs. And Gwendolyn's stern face looks out at you from over by the command deck, where she tends to have these meetings. She just gently waves you up.
I come up with the basket kind of outstretched. Just like, ooh, smell this delicious food. Maybe that will warm you up a little bit before you say anything.
She looks down at the basket and looks up at you, and she smiles. I can never turn down good bread. And then she reaches over and grabs a bite. It's pretty good. You didn't need to. I appreciate that you did. And she looks around, and there's no one else around the moment. She just says, I hope you understand. I was upset more at Giles than you. And unfortunately, the burden of command is that sometimes the burden falls at your feet. For what it's worth, I put him in your patrol to test you. And I think you did as well as could be reasonably expected. The failure is really more mine than yours.
Should have just knocked some sense into him with my staff next time.
Your restraint is admirable. Don't let the actions of others change who you are. I promoted you to patrol leader because I thought you have within you a strong moderating force and the distinguished ability to declare when action is necessary and when it's not. I don't need another Giles. I'm quite content.
That's very true. Nobody needs another Giles. Except maybe if his sole purpose was to torment the already existing Giles.
I suspect we may have need of someone as skilled as Giles come time. His people do in fact benefit from him immensely, but we'll get there when the time is right. For the moment, we have the immediate future to discuss. Come, sit down. And she gestures to the table in front of her. And it's the same gnarled stump that's been cut down. For the mice, it's huge. For us, it's like a medium-sized tree branch that fell. They just kind of chopped it cleanly and polished part of it. And it's big enough to be a mouse table. And on it is the map of the territories. So I'm going to pop us over to the new updated territory map. It's finally been updated after a bit. So on it, you can see that the mouse expedition in blue has continued traversing from the landing site that you all landed on, all the way through the forest, through the hills and the foothills, to Gauntlet, where you all met with the other mice territories here, the Mouse Empire, as people were calling it, or the Empire of Gauntlet, to Serpent's Run, the area you just conquered, and now you're approximately about a day's journey from Serpent's Run, like, by the time they've estimated this map to be done. The little, marker on it is being moved slowly, as you can tell, over the course of the day, and there's a couple of nearby, cartographer mice that seem to be asleep from having worked through the night on the map. And so she moves her fingers to the top left of the map from your perspective and points to two in particular areas: the Fox's Den and the Owl's Roost. So, I called the moot this morning to discuss where we should go first. I know where Giles wants us to go. Giles wants us to go to the Owl's Roost. According to him, he's struck some sort of accord with some beast of the forest. Some kind of political interplay is involved here, and the beast would see the owls who rule the roost supplanted. And Giles believes he can call favor with the new leader. Political favor, and certainly one that he doesn't intend to keep for long, but an advantage he believes might serve us in the future. I'm not sure how much I believe it, but having an ally, even a temporary one, to take one of these beast empires down would not be bad. The alternative is the Fox's Den. She brings her finger down to point at that. This one's about the same distance, a tad bit closer, about a day's trip closer to us, at least with all of our battle-plated tortoises. However, we know the Fox was a particularly cunning strategist, and, well, I'm certain that they have once again put mice into bondage. They're both true beast kingdoms. Serpent's Run was small. It was a field test of our capacity to wage war. These will be actual battles. And honestly, whichever one we take is likely to become our capital. We will have to take both. We cannot be in the shadow of a threat that close. But whichever one we take first will likely be our jumping off point. So, what do you think, Cyanna the Small? And she sits down at the table and grabs a little cup of tea from nearby and begins to sip. At this point, Derek, if you want Dukan to arrive, you can. I assume at this point it's been close enough. Yeah. Other mice are starting to arrive as well.
I think that if there are mice in captivity, then that is where we should head for. It would be cruel to make them continue to suffer even an extra day under rule of Predator when we're here and can do something about it.
You can see she gets ready to say something, and as she does, Dukan, feel free to enter.
Most likely both. Bond mice to their service. Dealer's choice. Who's free
I thought you
first?
said only the Fox had them.
No. They know for a fact the Fox has many mice in bondage.
Dukan's putting money on the fact that he thinks the owl would as well.
I will say you both are smart enough to know that's probably the case. Even the serpents had mice in bondage. That was the majority of who you fought.
That was my logic.
That's, yeah.
You would see Gwendolyn turn to you, to Khan, as you entered and sort of nod. A pleasure to have you, Master Weasel. Please, sit. I don't know if you would partake of it, but there is Gab Kroon for the table.
He looks to the granola, looks around for some kind of meat. Looks
we can get you
to his
something
pack,
a little bit more.
And then puts it on the table where he takes his seat, pulls it out, just kind of plops down and starts scrounging on little niblets of snake that he's had roasted.
Also, at this point, I will remind you that you did manage to get the head of the serpent of the vicar as basically your door mantle now on your tortoise. So you do have a trophy, a very obvious trophy. You're literally living in the skull of your enemy. It's pretty metal.
Right.
So you can see that she sort of chuckles and takes another bite of Gab Kroon. In truth, they're all symptoms of the problem. The entirety of this new frontier is likely dominated by beast kingdoms, and if the legends hold true, and they appear to have so far, mice in this territory have been held in bondage since we left. the mice that didn't come with us likely stayed and were re-enslaved or recolonized by beasts after we left in force. So every empire is likely to be suffering in a similar way. What we need is a strategic point to leap off from. So either by sky or by ground.
If the owl knows we are coming for it, it will harry us from the sky. I do not have wings.
I'm in no rush to fight flying foes either. Additionally, I don't trust any deal that Giles thinks he may have brokered between himself and a predator.
Furthermore, if we lose the element of surprise, then the owl has the upper hand.
The truth is, we're not entirely sure the owl knows we're coming. Red, or I should say not Red, Red. Giles's owl is a competitor to the owl who lives there. I did a little speaking with a couple of the mice who lived in Serpent's Run, as well as your friend, the Green Serpent. His name escapes me at the moment. Can't remember. Greenfang, of course. Greenfang told me a bit about these other empires and what they have. We don't know the names of their rulers, but we know that they are referred to as the Twin Tyrants. The fox is apparently descendant of the fox who once ruled these lands, and the owl, on the other hand, is purported to be a newer resident. When we fled this territory back in antiquity, we killed the falcon who ruled over the field, who dominated near the fox's territory. In fact, it's in part the reason why mice were forced to fight one another in that era. The fox and the falcon used mice as proxy armies, so they didn't have to engage themselves. That wouldn't have changed now. I'm willing to bet that the owls and the foxes probably have very little love for one another, and I'm more than willing to use mice to continue that ancient proxy war, as these two empires are so obnoxiously close together. So, we sit at a strange impasse here. I hesitate to make any decisions until I have more information.
Dukan raises his big meaty paw.
She pauses and looks over. Yes.
Dukan has a particularly weaselly suggestion.
Yes?
Perhaps instead, while we still maintain the element of surprise, we comprise elite strike forces to take out the leadership. Then we move in, break the trains that bind these mice. They will be overjoyed. Most will likely join our new kingdom. Others, they will likely not side with Gauntlet. If they do, perhaps Giles' network of infiltration may break down their sympathies further, and they become loyal to us.
A sound tactical plan, and something of my hope. I'd rather not commit to open battle against predator armies until we have ourselves a true fortification. We're going to dig them out either way. I'll lay out what I do know. From what I understand, from what Greenfang has told me, the owl has effectively put not only the mice of the region into bondage, but also has done so with other beasts of its kind. Much like the vicar did with the serpents, the owl has done with raptors and birds. The owls form their upper caste, the middle castes are filled with predators of the day, and even some more omnivorous birds, such as shrike or some songbirds. But the rest are all as enthralled as the mice we encountered at Serpent's Run.
This changes many things. They have an air force.
Sorry, go ahead, Natalie.
Where did you learn this information again?
Greenfang.
So
It appears as though as if he had a little more information than he was letting on.
So we're learning this from one of our own, not from this owl that Giles supposedly has a treaty with. You don't think this was something we should have been warned of if this owl actually had any decent intentions?
In fairness, the only contact that Giles had with the owl was when it nearly killed his patrol. He didn't have much time to
Owls.
engage.
Do not show their feathers. They strike from the back. This is a very owl thing to do.
The owl did tell us something, though, that Greenfang did not. And I believe this is because Greenfang simply might not know it as much. From what the owl told Giles, the tyrant owl who rules the owl's roost has also enslaved bats to his calls. And
Not
thus,
the bats.
yes. To the audience, turns to the audience, yes, even the bats. The night sky is as much the owl's as the day. The fox, on the other hand, has apparently been engaging in its own form of slow and steady growth. Most of the canids in the area fall under their direct control. So we know that the foxes, as well as also kits, Arctic foxes, gray foxes, a number of their kin and kind, all fall under this council of 3 siblings, ruled over by a tyrant sibling, the eldest. In addition, they appear to have enslaved a number of ermines, weasels, and even some of the local serpents into their service. This is what we know, at least from Greenfang. The owl has spoken nothing of the fox's den. Thank you, Nerys.
We are flush for foes and few with our allies.
These are just the beginning, mind you. I've heard tell of at least 3 more kingdoms off to the west, and a few more further to the east. 3 kingdoms out to the west in the ocean on islands, then the remainder off to the northeast. I have heard tell of wolves, bears. I even hear there's a small weasel empire up here.
Go on.
I've only heard rumors. No more than that, Master Weasel. However, their relationship with the mice of the area, if the rumors are to be believed, is no better than ours was once before we left on this expedition. I suspect they may not be so kind.
Can I roll like a weasel nature check to see if it's possible, if there's any way we could like make friends out of these weasels?
Sure. I think that's fair.
Okay. Otherwise, it would be. I don't know what else it would be. That was the only thing I could really think of. Okay, so
No, I think that's the right. I think that's the right roll to make.
cool. Okay, my nature is. Where are you hiding? It's a 6 because it's a new session, so it's refreshed. Yay!
Indeed.
What? Oh, motherfuck. Okay, it's still a pass.
I just like that. There you are. Fuck. And that's how you can tell you're watching an AP. Everybody.
Yeah, right. Like, what is the luck? It's crazy.
That's fair. So, yeah, no, that is still success, but man, wow, that is a gut punch. So from what you can tell, that does track. Your particular group of weasels leaving the Dark Heather have done so under only one weasel lord, your uncle. And if it weren't for your uncle being personally invested in not being in the Dark Heather and not being eventually overwhelmed and killed by his potential rivals, you probably wouldn't even be here having fought beside these mice, having built these communities together.
Right.
So, yes, that does track. You even remember a time yourself where when you were young and you were being raised, you were told, mice are food. They're not people, they are prey.
For a long time for Dukan, they were food.
Indeed. Hell, there's even
came
probably
around.
a part of you that still thinks occasionally of them as food.
I mean,
So-
you can't eat cats, Kevin. You can't eat cats, Kevin. Natalie, I made that reference specifically for Natalie.
There we go. I can see from the smile. I was like, that's an inside joke, but I approve. So yeah, that's from what you can tell, anyhow. So that tracks. It's possible you might be able to make alliances, but it would probably have to be something like what happened with your uncle. You'd need to have a weasel lord who is disadvantaged enough to be willing to work with mice. Hedgems, that's more likely. Your people view them not necessarily as equals, but as a threat on par with you. They are about the same size. They pack black powder. So that's possible to convince them to work with. But convincing them to work for mice or with mice, that's more of an uphill battle.
Hmm.
Not saying impossible, just putting in perspective what you're dealing with here.
If we could perhaps show a display of power, convince the native weasel kind here that we are no threat to them unless they are a threat to us, but that we will smite them with the fire from a cannon.
And he gestures to the big fuck off cannon.
Just creaking in the distance, gleefully almost.
They may be amenable to our cause. We may find friends. Temporary alliances with them until something more permanent can be forged.
I'm personally tickled with the fact your characters like friends. Too strong a word. Potential allies.
Yeah.
She follows your gaze up to the cannon. As much as I wouldn't mind smiting foes from on high wherever we go, I'd also like to do my best to evade using it, but for the biggest of threats. If we are in fact in bear country, as we have heard the possibility of, we should reserve that weapon for its potential use. However, I understand your point, and I think it's fair. But regardless, we can't make any pushes out towards the northeast until we take the Fox's Den and the Owl's Roost. The expedition is reaching the end of its supplies. We have maybe a month's worth of goods left before we start running out of food. We'll need to start planting food, harvesting, foraging, hunting, and preparing for summer and fall.
Hear Dukan out. We take the Invicta with Hedgems and Sayana and maybe even Giles. Maybe not Giles. That's debatable. We go on the water to visit these weasels. Diplomatically, we prove to them that we would be good allies, at least good enough for them to devote a unit of weasels, a strike force, if you will. We add that to our ranks, and we form a potentially lasting alliance on the grounds that we share in the spoils of victory. I know my kind. If I can prove to them... Sorry, Dukan doesn't say my. Dukan knows his kind. If Dukan can prove to them, they may be of use yet.
I'll consider it, Weasel Lord. At least once we have ourselves a place to operate out of.
He nods.
She turns to you, Sayana, and so you suggest we move towards the Fox's Den, then? Or have you another thought about it?
It does seem as if it may be potentially the easier foe to fell first, considering we're at least on the same terrain. Not having to deal with aerial assaults.
Dukan is beginning to wonder, would it not be easier to go back and take on Gauntlet rather than armies of roving canids and skies full of avians.
To that, you hear a chuckle come from the deck above you, and you can see Preston peers his head down, as apparently his relief has finally arrived, and he's able to emerge down onto the lower level. And he sort of lands a little bit Zorro-esque. He's very much the sort of person that doesn't use railings or ladders. He leaps around, and he does it largely out of, let's be real, largely just being displays of acrobatic
Gusto.
nature. Yeah, exactly. It's all machismo on his part. So he lands on the deck. Well, you see, with that's a bit tricky there. You see, you'd think that'd be the easy move. But in truth, we've been doing a little reconnoitering as well on the numbers coming from Gauntlet. That expedition that came to deliver goods to Serpent's Run? Well, me and my lads were doing a bit of reading and a bit of estimation. Believe it or not, some of my crew are actually pretty good with a sextant and with an abacus. We did a little rudimentary math and assumed that there's no way that they would commit such a force out to march unless it was exceptionally small, something they could afford to lose. So, extrapolating it out, we believe we're looking at probably that column being less than likely a 50th of Gauntlet's full strength. And that column was, as I recall, nearly 150 mice.
Versus our...
Suddenly, the Fox's Den is looking a lot better, huh?
He sort of chuckles and shrugs. Honestly, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. I think no matter what we fight, we're in for a hell of one. So, no easy choices, just choices.
I think I'd rather die trying to save mice from predators than trying to save mice from their own follies.
The mountains on the other side of the Fox's Den. Is that claimed territory?
She looks over and draws her finger. I'm assuming you're talking about these right here, Derek.
Sorry, Chad, I was muted. I'm talking about this area right here.
Gotcha. I had a feeling. She looks at it. The river is potentially dangerous. If we are to be believed, Fox's Den also has access to water, and being so close to the waterways and having heard talk of ermines, it's possible they might have a presence in the river. We assume that anywhere within 2.5 days' march of either territory is effectively their territory. And I will point out at the very bottom of the window, I don't know why it didn't show it in full. It's a little weird. Kind of cut off the sides there. But you can see that little measurement thing is equal to 1 day's march. So that would get you out to about like half this area over here. Anything further than that, we assume is threatened by their expense. So we believe we are maybe 2 days march out from hitting the beginning of Fox Den territory. And considering the owls go by air, we might even encounter them as far out as 3-4 days travel by foot. Make no mistake, my friends, we are marching into hostile territory. I merely need your input. This is a tactical decision, and a difficult one at that. I wouldn't have asked your opinion if I wasn't struggling with it myself. I merely wish you to consider it, and to give me your informed suggestion. From what I can hear, it sounds like you, Cyanna, have at least fallen on the side of the Fox's Den, unless I'm misconstruing your perspective.
I stand by my earlier assessments that although I don't by any means think it will be easier, I do think it would be marginally easier than tackling the owls. And perhaps we can gain some recruitments from the mice we save from the Fox's Den. that can assist us when we do take on the owls.
That's very fair.
Dukan has a different feeling about that. Dukan agrees with Cyanna that the owls will be a fiercer foe in combat, and it is for this reason that Dukan believes we should take them on first. There's nothing saying that the mouse kind we liberate from the fox's den will even decide to stay with us, nor will they be in any condition to fight if they are truly living under the thumb of such wild canids, beholden only to a tyrant. We incur losses no matter what. Casualties and attrition over the course of a warfare will wear you down just as deadly as your enemy. If we do not take the more severe threat on first, regroup then they will know we are coming. We will lose the element of surprise on them, and the sky will be an open warfront for the entire rest of the time until they are silenced.
Your counsel, both of yours, is well appreciated. And fair. You both make valid points. The foxes fight on our territory, and we are used to fighting creatures of the ground. And while we have hunted a great many flying beasts, this would be extreme even for us. Likewise, you're not wrong. We've seen what the owl is capable of. And take care, Neris. Have a good night. You guys get a fate or a persona. Your call, both of you.
Oh, Neris, thank you so much.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Lovely parting gift. Thank you, Neris.
Thank you very much. Get some good sleep.
Yeah, take care. We've seen what the owl is capable of. If its rival is to be a gauge of its power, it's seemingly capable of striking at us at will, is all but impervious to our weapons. It can kill mice on the casual. It even kills other predators with great ease. And such, we should be cautious. Both of you bring up good points. I'll have to think on it more. We have about 2 days' travel before we have to make a decision. The path towards both is the same. But in 2 days, we will have to diverge. I will call for your final decision then. I believe that's all I have to address you to, so I will request something, though, from both of you. Would you be willing to commit your tortoises to the head of the march for the moment? I'd like you to range ahead a tad. The Invicta needs a little repair time. The Serpent's Run battle is still worn on her hull more than Preston would like to admit. You can see Preston roll his one eye out of the eye patch at that, and just sort of shrug like it doesn't mean you have to rub it in kind of thing. And as long as the Invicta's down, I'd prefer we advance carefully rather than quickly.
Anything for Preston?
There's no better place for our tortoise.
Very well. Then, I end our little meeting. You two can go about your day, and I thank you both for your time and for your service. I'll speak with Giles at a separate time, as I understand he's spending some time with the Wolframites today, needing to drill a couple of them out. I also hear that Jeffrey needs a little help recovering from his injuries, so he will be directly under Giles' tutelage for the moment.
Dukan will get more breakfast.
You might want to stop by the larder. I know that one of the tortoises has just gotten in some rather choice cuts of cricket you might enjoy.
Dukan has enough snake for a year. Keep your crickets, ma'am.
She nods and smiles and sort of just bows as the other mice begin to all come in and settle down for a more formalized mood. And this is that moment you...
Just thinking of that one Simpsons meme, but just Dukan saying, "I don't want no damn crickets."
Basically, that was his polite way of saying
I
that.
don't want no
yeah.
damn.
I don't want crickets. They get in your teeth.
What's interesting for both of your characters is you also realize as you see the other mouse guard all sitting down and Gwendolyn rising to address them, Gwendolyn doesn't do that with you two. Apparently, she values your input enough to call you directly and have these meetings ahead of the rest. But suddenly you realize
We're special.
hey, you're in rarefied air here. Like, you clearly have the ear of the matriarch of the Mouse Guard. No small feat for anyone, regardless of the era. Especially in this instance. You might yet be in positions of power very soon.
What's Modi doing?
That's a great question. I was going to ask what you were up to next, so I think this is a great moment because we're also approaching an hour if either of you two wanted a bio break.
Yeah, let's take a bio break.
Yeah, we can get back and discuss what's up with Modi.
Awesome. Well, don't go anywhere, folks. We're going to take a quick 5 to 10. We'll be right back with more Malgard. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. We are back. We are not crabs, and we are ready to play some mouse guard.
God damn it! I knew it was gonna come back. Oh God. Inside joke chat. So I'm going to give you guys downtime for about a day. It's for you all to do with what you'd like. Derek, to answer your question, Modi the Red, is at the moment just sort of vibing. She's not doing anything in particular. She's currently on her tortoise, which would be, I believe that's Sedony. Yes, her tortoise for now, but on the way, on the way. So she's currently vibing at Sedony, doing her thing, mostly brooding, eating, sleeping, but also occasionally planning. From what you can tell, she's resting after the assault. So along
injured?
with your other two friends, the weasels, as well.
Squeeb and Drimbly.
Yes,
Well,
exactly.
Modi.
You'd hear from inside just this loud, what? And this like exhalation of breath from out of the tunnel. And slowly you see the two eyes as this giant, as honestly, like, again, Modi's big. I'm going to emphasize every time she shows up, because every time she shows up, you swear she's bigger than the last time you saw her. She's just that kind of large and in charge kind of person. Modi slowly peers her head out, and the glinting ruby of the gem on her diadem sort of glints in the dim light. What can I do for you, Dukan?
Dukan has idea. Weaselly kind of idea. Kind of idea. Dukan can only talk with weaseliest weasel Dukan knows kind of idea.
I'm sorry, I just love Dukan's speech pattern so much, and sometimes it's really
It takes
me.
effort. I'm not gonna lie. It does. I have to think about what I'm saying.
You do a good job, buddy. So she looks at you for a second and just inclines her head. It gestures for you to come in. And as you do, you can see a little further in as well. There appears to be a little section where she's had like a little ledger there. And for weasels, your ledgers are strips of paper bound together by rings and leather. So not quite like a book, almost like a pamphlet. And they're designed to be hooked on and clipped and hung from walls where mice can't reach them. And so you can see on the paper before was you had your cousin's information there, along with also Squeeb and Grimble, their respective information. But now there's a fourth one there, in addition to your papers, of course. And from what you can tell, it appears to be new and written on local paper. And you recognize the script as being from Gauntlet. You have a pretty good... Yeah, you can pretty well guess who that is.
Yeah, that makes sense. You just kind of makes a mental note of that for the time being, and looks at both of the trapdoors like
None can hear, right?
I guess it's only one trapdoor for her, right?
No, she has four.
Oh,
here.
she has four. Okay.
She has trapdoors leading into all of them.
Got
The
it.
idea is she can open them up and shout at someone and get an order out without having to move from her little tuffet in the back. So she walks over and just flick, 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 and shuts each of the portholes. And now they can only hear when I snore. Go ahead.
Dukan was at meeting with Queen of Mice for breakfast. They did not serve meat. Do not understand.
He offers her like a smidgen of snake, roasted snake.
She smiles and holds out a hand. No, thank you. I'm quite full, actually. She points behind her, and you can see back there is what appears to be the bones of some kind of rodent, larger than a mouse, smaller than a rabbit, probably a squirrel, and likely something she hunted while you all were vibing. Probably while she's resting, she went out, hunted, ate, gorged herself, and passed out. You know, living the good weasel life. She is the weaseliest weasel you know.
True. Maybe second only to Dukan. Well, no, she's a little bit more of a ice
For
queen.
now. For now, yes. A little more squeeb than me.
Yeah.
Dukan was told that there is a people of weasels that live.
She was to the northeast of here.
The northeast, correct, yes. Across the river.
Dukan thinks they might be potential allies, but was told that we must wait. Dukan must wait, this is true. As Dukan understands it, now he must come to every beck and call of Mouse Queen. Still do not understand Mousekind fully. Anyway, Dukan was thinking, what if you went and brokered a deal with these weasels? You are, after all, the most weaselly weasel Dukan knows.
God damn it. I'm sorry, every time I hear that, my head just goes like, you are the Mortiest Morty. Like, god damn it. So she's been like holding her paws up, steepled a little bit below her muzzle. Like, she can't do like we do, where she can bring her hands up like over her forehead.
Right.
You know, big pointy nose. So she can only bring it underneath her snout. And she sort of scratches the furry white bottom of her chin. An interesting proposal. However, I must be at least available for the coming battles. The journey to do such a trek would take potentially weeks, maybe even months. I don't know. It's not a bad idea, though. It would be nice to send out some envoy.
The Wolframite gets to disappear and reappear when he wants. Why not Modi? We are not beholden like the Wolframite is. Modi goes where Modi wishes, yes.
No, that's fucking Varix, and I love it. She chuckles. Yes, the Wolframite can go where he comes and pleases, because the Wolframite is not the strongest thing in this expedition short of the cannon. Unfortunately, there's only 5 in our little fraternity here now. We are a valuable commodity. If the Lord of Wolfram disappears and gets himself killed, only the Wolframites will mourn his passing. The mice all will, but they will all quickly replace him. Skilled swordsman or not, skilled leader or not, he is but a mouse. He is no weasel. You're right, I don't answer to her. I go where I please. However, I am as much invested in this expedition as she is. I would like to see it succeed. And I frankly don't trust the mice to succeed without us. She leans a little further forward. There is a possibility, though. There are other weasels in the locality. From Gauntlet. As I understand, much the Wolframite annoys me that he disappears so much, he did strike some bargains with local weasel folk there. Perhaps we should reach out through that network. See if we can convince some of them to do some diplomacy on our behalf. I imagine it would be easier than reallocating our already vastly overstretched resources. And besides, as soon as we have found the mice a territory, we can build our empire and start getting weasels from over the sea. We were limited to one tortoise this time. If we play our cards right, the next time we may have an entire expedition to ourselves. Imagine what we could do with 5, 7, 10 tortoises worth of weasels here. She smiles a wicked grin. She's clearly been thinking about this for quite some time.
Yeah, Dukan has completely different ideations for what to do with that many weasels. But he doesn't voice them. He holds that to himself and says,
Of course. Right. In the meantime, who should go? Again, you must be here for the coming battles, but Dukan must be here for the coming days.
he kind of like feigns this like look of annoyance. He probably is a little bit annoyed about it.
Right. I suspect more and more as this has gone on, Dukan has started putting on airs around Modi like, oh, the mice are so annoying. Meanwhile, like, my precious children, my future ally army. She shrugs. Why not put the mice to some use? As I understand, they have a post mouse who came with us. Send him. He's fast. He has his own bird. Go find him. I'm sure you'll find him somewhere. I believe he hangs out where the armored mice are. The ones who ride those hummingbirds about. The songbirds with lances. I'd say it's laughable if I didn't know they could kill a weasel with a good strike. But find the post mouse. Send him. He might be of use to you. To us. If this venture succeeds, I will admit, you've been instrumental to the progress of this expedition. I might require barons for areas outside of my control.
I'm gonna make.
I may be the new tunnel lord, but I would certainly like good, strong, capable allies in this region.
Successful. There's this kind of like wince when she says barons. Dukan doesn't say anything though. He just kind of like nods.
Dukan is very much star screaming right now.
Yeah.
It's like, barony? I deserve to be the leader.
Yeah. I ain't serving nobody.
That's fair. This is surprisingly generous of her, from what you've noticed. Like, as the days have gone on, Modi has seemed to rely on you more and more, and has seemed to treat you with at least certainly more respect than the two doofuses who she slaps around a great deal to get things done. You, on the other hand, she seems to have allowed some degree of autonomy. Again, one of those weird moments where suddenly you realize, I really am, like, I'm making it. The leaders are trusting me. Even her! And she eats people! So, you get that brief little moment, like that mixed impulse. And she just waves a hand. Think about it. Take your time. In the meantime, as I understand, we're to commit this tortoise to the front of the line?
Yes.
Very well. I'll relocate myself to the Invicta to be a part of the War Council with the Matriarch. I won't have her making any decisions for us without my say-so. As a show of my faith, Sedany is yours to command in my absence. However, don't come into my warren. You'll run it out of yours. Understand?
Certainly.
I was really thinking I was about to take her fucking warrant. my hopes went.
This is the equivalent of, here you go. You can take the car on the date. Oh, thanks, Dad. Be back by 6. Fuck.
It's 6. It's 4 p.m.
Yeah. She smiles graciously and bows. Is there anything else I can do for you, O warrior mine?
Not at this time.
Lovely. Well, if you'll forgive me then. I feel like I'm going to go out on a bit of a hunt. I am feeling a little peckish. For the moment, anyhow. I should be fine, but by evening, I'd like to have something a little more substantial to snack on. And so she reaches up on the wall behind her and pulls down the greatsword that, to you, is like almost comically large. It's not a. I would say it'd be like the equivalent of a long sword daikatana. This isn't a bastard sword. This is a great sword with a handle more akin to a bastard sword. It's very, very big for a weasel. It's like about 2/3 the length of a weasel. She takes it and puts it around her waist and cinches it tight. I leave Sedany in your command to move to the front of the line. A good evening, Dukan. She pats you on the shoulder and slithers out of the tunnel, almost like a snake, with a loud getting through the front door, because she's so round and wide. Getting through is almost one of those, like, it's sort of like watching a weasel trying to put its butt through a cardboard tube. Just for a second, there's like that little wiggle, then poof, gone. Leaving you in charge of the tortoise.
With a final look around the interior of the Warren, Dukan is going to start issuing the orders to move on ahead.
How closely do you look about the Warren?
I mean, longingly lingering.
Okay.
Mhm.
I was wondering if you're scanning it with your eyes for anything, or if you're just kind of like taking a look over, like, one day, baby, kind of deal.
I'd say more like the latter, but now you made me want to do the prior, but that would be dishonest. So
I am assuming things your character would be capable of doing. So if you, on a second thought, want to try that, you can.
I will try that. What would that be?
I would say that would be Scout.
Okay.
You can add Weasel Wise if you have it. I don't know if you have that or not.
Weasel Wise, I do not. I
That's
have
fair.
Lore Weasel, but I don't have Weasel Wise.
You could add that.
Okay, Pog.
Okay.
Boop.
Let's see what we got. Not bad. That's pretty solid. So, your eyes, as you go about the room, and you sort of take it in. You've been in Modi's Warren before. Plenty of time. But you've never really had it to look around. To put it in context, weasel warrens are usually pretty big, but the tortoise is cramped and barely big enough for casually, like, 2 weasel residences at, like, best. That's like a cramped college dorm room style living for that. 5 weasels is positively cramped. It's like living in an RV with 5 people. Like, that's a lot. And so you each have just barely enough room to get in, sort of turn around. For you and a lot of the other weasels, you can still move around and, like, turn around in here. But the reason why Modi's chamber is the way it is because she needs to literally roll into a ball to kind of rest in here. She kind of takes up most of the room. Now that she's out of it, you can see it much more clearly. And see how things are arranged. On the far end is a tuffet, which you find almost funny because it's basically just big enough for her head. The rest of her body kind of just loops around like a big wet noodle. She has a desk sort of inlaid into the wall, covered in papers, where you can see those files hanging over the top. A space for her weapon, a pile of bones, literally just bones. And as you get ready to turn around, you see a little glint out of the corner of your eye, and you recognize what appears to be a tube, a metal message tube, of the kind that is received from the Dark Heather. And it appears to have your uncle's name on it.
Gimme.
You're gonna go over and take a look? All right.
Immediately just like rushes over to it.
All right, so you slowly turn around and you get ready to leave, and you look back. You see it. Just noodle, and just like flop over and just grab it. And as you look at it, you can see that it's held fast by some sort of brass latch. It's a simple mechanism, really. It's a key of some kind. You get the feeling Modi has taken it, but it doesn't look too complex a lock. You're not sure you'd be able to pick it, but if you knew someone who could...
Neat tiny mouse hands.
Or someone skilled at building things. Intricate things.
Giotto.
I'd say that's possible. I'm going to flicker
Jukan
from where...
does not have many friends.
By Weasel standards, you are positively a socialite, my dude. We're going to flicker from where you are now to over where you are, Sayana. And as you return back to your tortoise, you can see that the majority of your patrol has finished up the Gabcroon and is currently in the process of cleaning everything off, getting things ready to move. They know that they're all moving out. They just probably don't realize they're moving out first, or at least to move out even further. And as you approach, you can see your apprentice just kind of wave from the back. Sayana, welcome back. How did everything go this morning? And thank you for the breakfast. It was delightful. And you can see he's sort of like pulling on some of the ropes and battening the hatch on your tortoise.
My little apprentice,
Yes.
Tom. How's he doing skill-wise? Like, you know, he's a good soldier,
He's
right?
doing-
A good mouse
He's
guard.
doing pretty good. So technically, at the moment, stats-wise, he's currently using the rules for a tender paw, because that's what he is. He is the lowest rank of mouse guard. Well, not the lowest rank. The lowest rank would be apprentice. He is technically the lowest fighting rank. However, if he keeps this up, it's been almost a month since he's left. Yeah, no, it's been almost a year actually for you guys since since the expedition really got underway. It's been a hot minute. So very soon he's probably up for promotion to full-on guard mouse. And as patrol leader, ultimately that'll be your job to decide when he's ready.
It's true. I was just thinking I'm going to need a second in command now that I'm first in command of the tortoise. So
It's true. He
I
is
would like
relatively young,
that.
but he could be appointed as an apprentice, as an XO, as you need. Assistant XO.
So I was thinking he might be too young to be my direct second in command. So I need to figure out who might be good for that position.
It is up to you. The tortoise is yours to command. And it is yours to decide who you think would be a wise decision. You get the very distinct feeling that this is, in no small part, not a test, because that implies that there's some kind of like manipulation going on, but it is probably a kind of a rite of training to really select your officers carefully. So it is on you to decide. And you have no obligation to respect seniority. This is your tortoise to command. You've experienced that before,
true.
probably, I'd be willing to bet. Like, if someone... You've probably been passed over by promotion by people who are more useful in that instance of whatever thing was going on. So,
Well, I
you
don't
know
want
it's
to promote Tom just because he was my apprentice. I'm trying to think
fair.
what kind of role I could make to gauge who else could be a good fit.
Okay.
Obviously, I've probably been keeping an eye on my mice when we battle and things like that. So I'm looking for someone who's good with their weapon, but also level-headed, but can lead.
Okay, that's fair. Best role for that, I would say, would probably be... This is an interesting one. So I'm going to look
Mhm.
at your stats and actually make a decision based on that, because I'm having a hard time thinking of that. That feels like that'd be a command sort of thing. So for this, I would say instructor would probably be the one you'd want.
Okay.
I think that would be fair.
I hope I roll well because I only have one in that.
You know what? Circles. You could also do circles as well. You can add that in. That'd be 4.
Okay.
So 4 plus whatever you just rolled. Which was a 1. So it'd be 4 ones. Okay. That is
Might
one
need
success.
to-
That is still success. You have 1 degree of success as
Oh,
opposed to. Yeah.
had and use my only persona. Oh, come on.
You still have 1 degree of success. I will let you
That's
take that
true.
back. You didn't really need to do it if you didn't want to. So I'll let you have that persona back.
Okay.
Under most circumstances, success is all that's measured. The amount by which is not so extreme. Also, Grimwood Games. Hell yeah, nice. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much for the follow, buddy.
Oh, nice.
So you've looked around, and you know there's a number of mice who are. Your patrol isn't the most veteran. But what you've noticed is that it seems that Cedric has gathered together a lot of capable soldiers. Almost all the guard in your patrol are they're competent, is the real way to describe it. You have 2 tender paws, one of which is Thom, who you've noticed is very skilled. And while he was first deployed as a naval officer in the Mouse Guard, which, by the way, to the Mouse Guard, their navy, when normally not like having the Invicta, which is technically a privateer ship and not Mouse Guard, their navy is actually people who use like leaves and sticks and twigs to make boats and rafts and patrol around the riverways. So their navy is really more like a coast guard, and it's really less a coast guard, more like lifeguards with knives. But despite that, he's very capable. In terms of the others, I'm going to randomly generate one for you.
Okay.
Because right now it is between Thom and this other candidate. I'm going to roll that right now. Nice. Okay. And going by name at the back, we're going to go with a mouse by the name of... Oh, Autumn.
Okay.
Autumn appears to be a capable patrol mouse. She's been around for quite some time. She, from what you can tell, is one of those mice that was likely going to become a patrol leader, likely by the end of this expedition. So you kind of left a little bit ahead of her in your appointment, but she's been nothing but professional and respectful. She seems to understand why you've been selected. She's so far not given you any reason to doubt her capacity as a leader. And in fact, when you're gone, whatever she's in charge of, she always gets done well. She's never given you an issue. She's never given Cedric an issue. She takes orders, executes them to the best of her ability. You wonder whether or not Thom might have more, what would be the word, ingenuity than she does. She seems very much a by-the-book kind of patrol leader, or a patrol guard. So you would have your 2 candidates of Autumn, who is a very capable, very skilled, very well-drilled and seasoned patrol mouse, but one who doesn't seem to want to make many waves and might not necessarily be very good at improvisation. And Thom, who's a tender paw, and thus nowhere near as seasoned as she is, but also is clearly shows great promise, has been directly under your wing, and you know for a fact could improvise, and is really swinging well above their weight. Like the way that Thom's performing, Thom is a patrol mouse in all but title.
Out of curiosity, how long would Sayana have her current position for? Like,
You mean on this little like moving your tortoise ahead on recon, or you mean just patrol?
no, just more like when will Sayana move on so that her second in command will take her place? Like, what time frame would that roughly be?
So the good thing is, as soon as you all park your ships and have yourself a settlement going, almost guaranteed the first thing that's going to happen is they're going to start drafting new mice. into the Mouse
Mhm.
Guard. And once they have their next class of Mouse Guard, to train them, they'll begin to immediately elevate promising Patrol Guard to the role of Patrol Leader. So they don't necessarily need for you to move on to take their place. You just
Okay.
happen to take Cedric's place because Cedric needed a successor. But within a couple of months at this rate, maybe even less, depending on how quick you're able to subdue the Fox's Den, assuming you succeed, assuming you all survive, that's a big assume. But if you do, then they're likely all looking at promotions for having been with the expedition longer than the fresh-faced, likely newly freed former Bonds mice you'll be largely dealing with.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure if for some reason I don't pick one, then I'm not ensuring that they don't, get a promotion for the next decade or something.
Oh, no. In fact, a little lore blurb for you about the Mouse Guard that's really important. The Mouse Expedition is not normally how the Mouse Guard operates. Under normal circumstances, patrols are temporary formations, created and dissolved at will by the matriarch as the need arises. So, if you need to run medicine to a settlement, you'll form a patrol, have them do their thing. They'll do a circuit of the territories, come back, and once they come back, they dissolve, unless they choose to stick together. Sometimes they do, sometimes they're reassigned. It's very common for patrol leaders to rotate out the mice that come through. In some cases, even going from settlement to settlement, some mice will get off of the patrol, other mice will get on from there. It's a very fluid structure. So it isn't like the military where you have a unit and a regimental structure, which basically necessitates to have a leader, the old leader has to be promoted. That isn't the case. There's a constant flow of fresh blood into the Mouse Guard. Yeah, or dies.
Sorry.
So, no, it's very important because that happens a lot too. It isn't quite that regimented. Now, you don't know how things are going to work once you guys establish yourselves a new territory, as you're likely no longer going to be just the Mouse Guard. You're going to be a new Mouse Nation, and you'll have likely a little bit more of a formalized structure. But long and short of it, whoever you choose isn't going to be locked out of their career for like a decade or something. It'll be at most months. Opportunities arise all the time. And Gwendolyn and whoever is matriarch is constantly going to be hunting for skilled people. So, yes. Don't worry. That's a very good thing, though, to think about. And for that, I'm actually going to award you your choice of a fate or persona, because that is a very, very intelligent thing to do. I think that's a very in-characterful thing to think about when you're considering being a leader, is how is my decision going to impact your troops. So, hell yeah, I award that. That's good role-playing.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, is there any reason I can't kind of have them both as my second in command, since this is potentially only going to be for a few more months? I can just kind of delegate the duties to both of them.
Absolutely. It's entirely possible to do that.
Because they both have their strengths and weaknesses, so they'll kind of balance each other out.
Yeah, no, that is entirely possible. Hell, and everyone treats their subordinates differently. Oftentimes, you'll have Naismith subordinates where their whole job is just to be like, "But what about?" to their commanding officer until they're like, "Okay, I've had enough contrarian argument. I think we've refined this as hard as we can." Whereas others just need people to execute. So if you want to have two folks underneath you, that's up to you.
Yeah.
By all means.
I think so.
Okay, how do you go about it?
I'll talk to Tom first.
Okay. So, I'm going to assume that, do you approach him right as you're, like, walking up? Or do you wait a couple minutes after you've had a chance to settle and you've told all of them that we're shipping off to the front?
Oh yeah, I'll explain that to the mice first, kind of get things going, and then just tell Tom once he's done with his duties to come find me, so I'd like to speak with him.
Okay. So yes, the mice all salute and get ready, and you can feel Garo, even the tortoise, is beginning to rouse as the mice are like gently patting his head, like telling him, like, "Hey, we're getting ready to move up, get ready. We need you to start really putting some strength into those steps." And as the mice batten all the hatches down, you hear from the front a "Rah," as Garo like begins to really motor forward. And you realize, like, we always joke that turtles are slow, but you've never really seen a turtle book it. Turtles are capable of moving surprisingly fast. They can scuttle pretty quickly when they want to, and move pretty quickly.
Oh,
They
no,
like
he's
to-
scooting.
Yeah, no, he's schmoovin'. So they can actually run fast. I have had tortoises and turtles that I've rescued before in the past, because my mom used to do turtle rescue for a while, where I would put them down and they would easily go as quick as a gator. Like, just race to like 15 miles an hour. I'd be like, wow, well, they're fucking gone. And Garo just hauls ass to the front of the line. As well as also you can see about the same time, I would assume this is probably when you can see Sedney, the weasel tortoise, doing it. Regardless of what you're up to at the moment, they both start surging forward. And you can feel like the momentum rock you back a little bit as the mice all like grab a hold. It's almost like being on the open ocean again. And eventually, after the tortoises are at the front of the line, passing in the shadow of the giant warship that is the Invicta, Thom appears at the in the top section of the tortoise. I'm assuming where you probably meet him, because that's about as close as you can get to privacy, and just sort of like knocks on the wood. You wanted to see me, Silent?
Yes, come in.
Yes, of course. He climbs up the rope and plops himself onto a hammock opposite you, which is just rocking with each step that Garo takes. So, what did you need, boss?
Well, as you know, I've taken over Cedric's position here in the Tortoise with our troops.
Congratulations, by the way. I know I said it before, but I'll say it again. I think it's well deserved.
Appreciate it. And I'd just like to let you know that I've been very pleased with your service so far. I think that you have excelled very quickly and are well on your way to being a fine patrol mouse yourself.
You're making me blush. Thank you. I appreciate it.
And because of this, I would like for you to be one of my second in command. I do have another mouse that I plan on asking, because I believe that it is best to use all of the resources at your disposal rather than limiting yourself. It has nothing to do with your capabilities or anything. I just value all of my mouses opinions. So I do plan on asking Autumn to also be a second in command to me. And I hope that you will still accept my offer knowing this.
Of course. I'm honored. Honestly, I didn't really think that was possible. Wow. And he just sort of like sits there and just sort of like stares in the middle zone like, oh, this is going really quick.
Now, if you think it's too soon and you would like to take some time before moving up to that position,
Oh no,
then
no,
by all
absolutely not. I'm ready. I know I'm ready. I am 100%. Yeah, he is absolutely jazzed about it. I am definitely 100% on board with this decision. I think it's a great decision. I won't let you down. I promise.
I hope so. I know you're quite excited, but I trust you to take this seriously and prove that I did make the correct decision.
I promise you won't regret it. Scout's honor. And he makes a little. He makes the equivalent of like a mouse apprentice's sign, and I'm going to say like it's literally like little mouse ears.
Aw.
I promise I'll do my best. I am a little curious though about this mission you have us on. We're arranging ahead. How dangerous is this supposed to be? Not that I'm against it. I just want to know what to prepare for.
We should be prepared for the worst, but hope for the best, of course. These are unknown territories. I don't wish to alarm you, but I did learn from Gwendolyn that there is rumors of bears, not in this area specifically, much farther up north.
Like the
And
second you say
it
bears,
is
you can see him just go like,
quite
and then you say up north.
It is quite unlikely we should run into any at this point in our journey. However, that just gives you an idea of the dangers in these unknown lands. So we should be on constant alert. However, there's no need to panic. If ideally, we will run into nothing more than the occasional snake or perhaps slightly larger foe that we're sure to be able to defeat. I have confidence in you and the rest of my mice. I keep forgetting what the
Mice would be the
plural
right-
is.
Mice would be the right plural.
It doesn't sound natural for some reason, so I keep doubting that it's the right thing to say.
Yeah, think of it this way: it'd be either mice or mises.
Yeah.
And one of those only applies
Mice
if you're a
sounds
Hanna-Barbera cartoon. So, stated myself, damn. So, you'd see Thom.
I grew up watching those two. It's okay.
Yes. At least I didn't make a Jabberjaw reference. And so, yeah, no, he nods. All right, then we'll stay on high alert. I'll get right to it. If you have any duties for me to get right on, I'll gladly get to it.
If you would fetch Autumn for me, I would much appreciate it. And then start overseeing the men, making sure that they are not slacking in their duties.
Of course.
Mice. Not men. I don't even know what a man is. Why did I say that?
They use the term men, like fighting men and women and people. That's a thing. This isn't like this isn't like the Smurfs where they replace every instance the word human or man with Smurf. Like they do in fact occasionally use humanisms. But you would see he just sort of nods. Righto, I'll send Autumn right away. And he pauses and just sort of leans over and just like takes your hand, just shakes it very like vigorously. Thank you. And just gonna let go and just drop down onto the lower level. Autumn! Autumn, I need your help!
I definitely have to get him a new cloak now. Because I remember when we first met, I noticed he had a tattered cloak on.
Yeah, he still is wearing a pretty shite cloak, not gonna lie. It works, but it is not pretty. This is very much function over form in its most palpable sense.
I would have remembered that earlier. I would have gotten the cloak before I asked him. Then it would have been like, take this cloak and become my second in command.
I would assume if you want to, like, you could even make him one if you have like the ability. You should have a couple of trade skills, and if not, one of the mice in the expedition might be able to help you out. Hell, one of the mice in your patrol might even be able to help you out on that.
Yes, I will. We don't have to necessarily roleplay that, but I would like to
Okay,
obtain that for him now that he's my second in command.
sure. We'll say that while Autumn is on the way over, we can just like quickly handle that. Make me as I look at your stats again very quickly to see what you've got. So I'm gonna say, make me an instructor roll.
Okay.
And I will say, yeah, there you go. That's good.
Another one.
You can also add Haggler to that as well if you'd like.
Do I have Haggler?
You do. You should have 2.
Oh, I do. Okay.
Okay.
Well,
So no failure, no success. So dead average, dead neutral. So I usually
I find the most average cloak maker.
yeah, and also hey Skag. I usually rule whenever you guys roll no successes and no failures as you're able to progress your agenda, but with no real immediate like expediency. It's kind of like when you go, oh hey, I want to get a chore done today, and then you go online and you look up and you realize they're not even open. And you're like, okay,
Mhm.
so it's not a loss of progress, but it's not really progress. It's just, you know,
I hear about a cloak maker, but I can't go see them today, basically.
pretty much, yeah. We'll say that you know who they are when you ask them. They're like, it'll take me a day or so of like foraging while we're like ranging ahead to get the materials to weave cloak. So like, basically, they'll work on it shortly once we're underway and we're a little further ahead. Eventually, you would see Autumn would poke her head up, and Autumn has a very appropriately named type of fur. It's very bright, almost like fox orange, like crinkling leaves. She's wearing a brown cloak, and from what you can see, she has a bow on. And by a bow, I mean like an actual like long bow, not like
That's
a
what.
bow in her hair. And she pops her head up.
Yeah, I figured.
Yes, ma'am. You wanted to speak to me.
Yes, please come
Of
in.
course. She climbs up and sort of just hangs from the wall there a little bit. What can I do for you?
Oh, as you know, I have taken over Cedric's position. I'm trying not to just recycle my speech from earlier.
That's fair. If you don't want to go through the whole thing again, you don't have to. But
Yeah, I basically kind of give her the same rundown that now I'm in command. I'd need someone experienced to be a second in command. I let her know that I've also asked Tom to be a second in command, but I do this because no, I see his value, but I also see her value and think that she should have been promoted to patrol leader were it not for me. So I want to make sure that she's progressing and moving up and being of the value that she is.
she would nod at that, and you'd see like a little smile on her face when you say that. I'm proud of anyone who rises in our ranks. I know in time it'll come to me. I appreciate you helping me with this, and I promise to do what I can to help further your goals. I'll do my best to defer to you, and if you need any advice, I'm always open. And Thumb is a capable tenderpaw. I'm sure he'll do good. So, we'll make it work.
If you could also help guide him, as you know, he is still a tender paw, and though he is capable, he is inexperienced through no fault of his own. So I hope that you can also be a guide and mentor to him as I am.
Of course. I wouldn't dream of anything else. He seems like he's very excited about the opportunity. I would hate to disabuse him of that. I'll do what I can to guide him where he would be willing to listen.
I appreciate it, and please do let me know if there's any conflict between the two of you. I know it's not necessarily typical to have two in, command of something, but I hope to make this work.
He has been so far nothing but a boon to this expedition. I'm grateful to get to work alongside him.
Wonderful.
I'll let you know if he tries to grow up a little too fast, though. And she
He
kind of
does
gives you
have
like a smile.
a tendency to get a bit overexcited, as you've seen. So it will be good for him to have a more serious mentor, a more serious presence and guidance.
I'll do my best to keep what you've got going with him. And I think you've been doing about as good as anyone could have hoped to. Well,
I appreciate that.
of course. Unless you have anything else, I'll get right back to it. The tortoise is moving at full speed, so I figure we'll be ahead by nightfall, if you're all right with that.
Excellent. Indeed.
All right. Thank you again. And she bows and slowly recedes from view as she just lets tension out on the rope and just zzz back down from the top. So I'm going to pop over to you, Derek, and we are going to give the last part of our downtime before we move into the active phase of the session. Because I have not forgotten, Natisha, about your complication arises. It's coming. Don't worry.
Oh boy.
So, Derek,
I
I'm going
forgot
to.
that we had that.
Oh, I didn't. I never forget that. I'm going to assume that you went before you started leaving the expedition behind to go and see Jado, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So, as you go and you make your way into the Hedgem workshop, and you can see all the Regims are busy. They are absolutely crushing their production. They're always like clanging away at something in here. But now they are absolutely nuts. Constant clanging and hammering of steel on hammer, on anvil. The smell of smoke and cordite fills your lungs. You can barely walk through the fog less than a length of your body without bumping into something because of how dense the steam and the smog is from the inside. Even with all the bellows piping at full steam and all the chimneys belching out smoke as they advance forward, the interior of the Hedgem's tortoise is like a furnace, and it is hot. It takes you like a minute or two to find Jado, and honestly, Jado probably finds you before you find him. And he sort of bumbles around into you and looks over. Dukan, what brings you here? I'm not complaining, just a little surprised.
Dukan must head out soon, but has weasel business to attend to first.
And he kind of does like this number with the scroll.
Oh, look at that. That looks like that's some kind of interesting lock you got there on that case. He reaches out, his little grubby paws.
I hand it to him.
He takes it and immediately reaches out, takes a little cloth from behind. His armor, despite being corroded and absolutely verdigris with use, you realize it's verdigris because he wants it to be. And he's varnished the verdigris into his armor at this point. Like, his armor is slick and smooth to the touch, and it still looks rusty by design.
Yeah.
He takes out a little cloth,
It's a patina.
polishes it. Yeah. He polishes it to a mirror sheen and pockets the cloth away and looks at it. Having trouble getting it open, then?
Dukan's.
He raises his arms as high as he can, which is like not very
About, like,
high.
mid-neck, yeah.
Are
Got a
not
little bit of
the
T-Rex
most
going on.
dexterous of arms.
You want the lock broken, or do you want the lock opened?
Opened, preferably.
Give me a little bit. And he walks into the smoke and comes back with a very small, I would say screwdriver, but you don't see like a head on the end of it. It's just a needle, kind of. And he walks over to an open bench, and as a Hedgem comes back carrying a couple boxes, looks like, that's my station. Find another. I'm busy. And just like goes and trundles off elsewhere with his boxes. And you can see Jado just leans in, and I'm going to make a roll for him.
Go, Jado, go.
Our boy! Our boy
Fucking
crushing it.
Jado the Giga Chad.
You wouldn't believe it, but Jado clearly is capable of working with fine, very fine things. With the hands of a jeweler, he takes the nail, slides it into the lock, and just gently jimmying it, you can hear a little ting, 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 and it just like pops open. The whole mechanism just snaps open. And you can see he's basically turned each of the tumblers manually inside of the lock with the nail and pulls it back out, the nail completely unharmed and the lock seemingly perfect, and hands the container back to you. Didn't think I'd ever get to try my hand at jewelry again.
Dukan knew he could count on Jado. Jado
Mon-
never lets Dukan down.
Put an arm on his shoulder.
He'd return the gesture. Always. Battle brothers, my friend. Battle brothers. He sort of pats you on the shoulder. That said, what's so important about the thing?
Dukan is about to be deployed to the head with another tortoise of mice to scout and be fodder in case we have an aerial assault on our hands. Best to have us attacked rather than the whole convoy, is what Dukan thinks. But found this in Modi's room, and, well, this is Dukan's uncle's name. Had to know.
He just sort of leans in a little further. Eyes kind of narrow at that. Interesting. So... Oh, you gonna read it then? Like, as you say this, he just like looks at you and like watches you pull it out, and you just see like this little wicked grin on his face. Just like I was hoping you would do that.
Yeah, we usually like heads together, like reading it.
Pretty much, it's the what is it? It's the stupid like it's the crab's treasure map. Like, oh no, Patrick, it fell on the ground.
Yeah.
Eyes all over it. So as you lean in and you read it, you realize it's instructions from your uncle. These were given to Modi likely at the onset of the expedition. Contained within is plans for the next wave of the expedition, as well as also standing orders for when the weasels make their own home, when they have their settlement established. If you read through it, you realize it is incredibly dense and very frustratingly written. It is intentionally made to be as ostentatious and out of the way obnoxious as possible. Just like your uncle likes to write. Yep, every line with a million, etc., ad nauseums. His name alone takes up almost a fifth of a page in very tightly bound weasel script.
My name will be that big someday.
He has like 8 titles. Like it's the sort of thing that he could easily ring it into like a bangle around his arm, and he'd have a full bracer by the time he's done. Make me for this one. I'm going to say Lore Weasel, and I'm going to have you make me a Circles roll. So Circles plus Lore Weasel.
Okay. Lore Weasel is 1. I forgot to mark my success earlier. Boop. And I also got a nature success earlier, and it was also scout earlier. And now I am rolling. What was the other one? It was Weasel. And
Weasel Lore and Circles. Circles is the social role. It's basically your ability to draw resources, which I figure for you is the equivalent of reading, like, nobility text. That's pretty damn good.
Damn,
you all are rolling fire today, or at least decent today. When you roll crap, it immediately gets resolved. I love it.
Can't complain.
So, despite the density at which it's written and the incredibly overly floral text, you eventually come across the thing that draws your eye before Jado, who, reading over your shoulders, is something along the lines of, I can't read Weasel, and just sort of like looks at you plaintively like, please tell me what's on the paper. What's on the paper from your uncle is a simple set of instructions after you get through all the crap. While the expedition is moving, you are to assist the matriarch in all things. Be indispensable. Be a valuable ally. Make the matriarch of the Mouse Guard trust a weasel. And then finally, when the settlement is established, continue to be allies with them until the first wave arrives. And you can see, mixed into all that crazy bullshit that your uncle likes to write, you see how aggressive the colonization plan from the weasels is. This first roll, 5 weasels. And one of them stayed behind, as you recall. Your Modi wasn't lying when she said they were going to ramp things up. they were planning on sending more weasels with the next expedition, but what they didn't tell anybody, from what you can tell, is that they're planning on sending their own expedition without the Mouse Guard's awareness, parallel to the next departure of the expedition. So while the Mouse Guard expedition is carrying over weasels bit by bit, they will send their own fleet of vessels with, from what you can read, looks like around 200 weasels with the next expedition, parallel to it, unbeknownst to them, sailing in their shadow. If that's the case, the weasels are going to probably outnumber, or at least match, the original Mouse Guard with their next expedition.
Bro, what the fuck?
Jono, do you remember what Dukan said his ultimate goal was going to be concerning a particularly red weasel?
He's saying this very quietly, just almost in his ear, with his long
Right.
snout-like face.
He just quietly nods.
The timetable might have been moved up. If Modi were to gain control of this many weasels, the entire fate of the expedition could be the future of this alliance between our kind. The balance might be tipped, and scales might fall in such a manner that things would not be fixable.
So, what you're saying is there's more of your kind coming. How many?
200.
And he's about to say something and just puts his hand in his mouth and bites, and you can see a little bit of blood trickles down as he tries to avoid shouting. 200.
Just a very curt nod.
How soon?
Parallel to the next expedition.
Which, how long is that from now, by the way?
As soon as you all establish your first real settlement, the Mouse Guard's first real, permanent base of operations, your next lock haven. So whenever you conquer either the Owl's Nest or the Fox's Den.
Okay, so it's either or, not both.
Yeah, exactly. That'll be your base. Basically, you are choosing which is the first of your capitals. The other one's likely to become your secondary capital very shortly after. But the second that first one's established, you're going to send runners back to the front, back to the beach, and they're going to get back on the barges and do their thing. Not just that, that's to confirm that everything is okay. The first wave, the barges that brought you here, are already on the way back. So by the time they get there, they'll be gathering the next expedition. So pretty much the second that other group of runners gets back to the front with the beaches, they'll probably send a bird over. And that'll be maybe a couple of days as opposed to weeks of travel. So maybe I'd be willing to say 2 months till they make land, till they head out.
So we
Total?
would both know that, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I'd say maybe 3 months till they make landfall in the New World. Easily. Until they make landfall on the frontier.
Soon.
Yeah, I explained to him that it's when the second deployment force sends off, they're going to be sending off at the same time.
All right. Let me know when you're ready. Do you want me to get... Do you think we should involve the mice in this? Or,
This is a
certain
crossroads
monsters?
moment for Dukan. This right now is a really pivotal moment because he can either choose to go the Weasley route and make a conspiracy about it and get the mice on board, or he could choose to do things ostensibly what his misplaced and misunderstood sense of honor would be, which is facing her down himself. I don't
Right.
like my odds. If I'm being honest.
If you want to make a hunter roll with
Okay.
weasel lore, backing that up to assess your odds, I'll let you.
Yeah, that's a fair. Yeah, I would like to. do that.
Okay. Make the roll.
Plus weasel. Okay. Oh Jesus, that's all ones, but I think it's still.
You pass. You more than handily pass it. Wow, it's literally all successes and then 3 ones to counter it. So like, yeah, that's still 3 6. That's 4 degrees of success. That's a sizable success.
Hell yeah.
That is enough for you to know. Yeah, Modi. If it was Modi on the front against the vicar, you suspect she might have been able to take him, like 1-to-1. She's famed as a beast hunter. She's famed as a warrior. She's called Modi the Red because she's been soaked red through with blood, an act that very few weasels have ever done. Because weasels are big, and to kill that many mice, to kill that many beasts, to just drown yourself in their blood is actually damn near impossible for a weasel, unless you kill something huge. So, if anyone's going to be a match for you swordsmanship-wise in this expedition, besides Giles and Saxon, it would most assuredly be Modi. And unlike Giles and Saxon, you know Modi will do anything to win a fight.
Right.
So I'd be willing to say, if I was to give you straight odds, 75-25, you lose.
That's kind of what I thought.
That's being pretty generous. And again, that's your assessment. It could be worse. You also know that tunnel lords and their ilk oftentimes hide advantages, things that they don't tell people, vials of poison, even possibly dread curses, things of that nature, contracts, alliances. They don't play their hand until they're forced to. And when they do, they dunk on someone so hard they can't tell someone else.
Dread curses. Interesting.
Like I said, your character is a little more familiar with the superstitious stuff than Mouseguard are.
Well,
They
now
know
he's
it is
been-
ancient history. For you, you know it is living history.
And now it's being thrust upon him through the death rattle of the vicar. So.
Yeah.
Dukan might need assistance in this manner. Dukan has a number of options available to him, neither of which he particularly enjoys, but help is the least debasing. Dukan has no
Alright.
wish to die on Modi's greatsword.
All right. Let me know when you're ready for it. I'll prepare on my end. I can talk to Raphael on your behalf if you'd like. I can't imagine he'd be keen on this either. He may have no grievance with your people, but he knows what war is like fighting them and with them.
Dukan trusts Jado. Dukan does not know Jado's liege lord as well.
I do. He knows how to keep secrets.
He nods. Thank you for the biddies, Neutron. Much appreciated.
Oh,
man.
awesome.
Much love.
All right. Well, with that, I think I'm going to suggest if you guys need, we could take our final bio break, or if you want to power through, we can just get right into the active phase.
Yeah, let's just keep going.
Okay. All right, I'm down with that.
Unless y'all need to take a break.
No, I'm good. I'm just gonna have myself a big, deep sip because doing Jado voice. There we go. Gotta wet the whistle occasionally. That's actually perfect timing too, because I just finished this final piece of art, which is necessary for this session. So,
Nice.
huzzah. Yeah. All right. And now I just export this. So, you all go about you basically go about your day with relative ease. There's very few issues you've had so far, and moving to the front, both your tortoises pull ahead of the rest of the expedition until you are effectively half a day's journey ahead of them. They slow down just a hair and allow you to pass them. I'm going to want you... Well, first off, Derek, can you do me a favor and slap on some... not like full tension music, but like eerie tension music? That works? There we go. Love you. Thank you, man. Okay. So, as your tortoises pull ahead of the rest of the expedition, thank you so much. I'm John Byrne. I'm going to have another one of these. God, water feels so good. As you pull ahead of the rest of the expedition, you very quickly realize that you're going to set up watches. Up until now, you really haven't had to deal with that. The expedition's had your back. You all move in a large group, and each tortoise has their own set of watches. But now, Dukan, Sienna, it's just you. And you're commanding troops. Dukan, at the moment, you have under your command 5 mice and 2 weasels. I was debating if I should have the 3rd, but no, he would not stay here. Terrell the Bright would stay behind in the command crew. He is an advisor, more than a
that makes
soldier.
sense.
So, you have Squeeb and Grumble under your command, plus 5 other mice. Whereas Sienna, you have your patrol, which consists of 15 mice, including your 2 now lieutenants in your command.
And we're all invincible and can't
Yes.
die.
That's the hope. So
Yeah, I cast Nefarious Protection, so we're gonna be okay.
perfect. So, what are your plans for dealing with this this threat? How are you going about this first evening, alone and ahead of the expedition? What do you do? Either one of you can take your time telling me what you do. Basically, consider this a command action.
I want to do a combination of being stealthy but on defense. Like, the goal is to be on the lookout, ready to defend ourselves if needed, while also trying to be as quiet and not draw any attention to us
Yeah,
as
I'm-
possible.
I'm with Sienna on that one. Until we know that something knows where we are and that we're even out here, it's best to keep quiet and stealthy.
Okay. So, if that's the case, then that's really not a bad idea at all, actually. So you're both moving forward quietly. I'm gonna have you make me a scout roll, both
Oh,
of
God.
you two. You can use whatever skills you might have to buff it, as long as you make an argument for it. And also, I'm going to allocate a supporting role for you as well. And a complication arises. That's 2. Perfect. Let me just add a couple of files here. I'm excited about this one.
Oh God.
Can I add rocky terrain to my role since we're in the forest?
Absolutely.
There are rocks in the forest, therefore it's a rocky terrain.
It's a rock. Yes, by all means,
It's a rock.
you can do it.
All right.
SpongeBob has poisoned me forever, and I'm okay with it. I love it.
Ooh. I'm definitely gonna explode that 6.
Okay.
Why? Every time I've tried to use something, it's been low. So let's go ahead and try for Persona. Last Persona? Okay, at least I got something. That's everything. I used all my fate in Persona.
Oh,
That's hella fair. That's hella fair. All right, so let me take a moment to
Aw.
assess.
John gave you a persona or a fate point.
Oh, nice.
Oh, thank
That's good
you.
stuff. Thank you.
I don't know if I should use it right now.
Well, let me very quickly assess how necessary this is. So I expand this
Yeah.
out, and now have more than one thing. See what you got. So that's 3 ones, which you then negated to zeros. And then I have my roll to make for you, which I'm going to assume is a mutual roll for both of your... Yeah, for both your lieutenants working together, collectively. They each have a 3 in Scout, which means I'm going to add it up to... I'm going to round it out to a 4. Since they both are the same, I'm going to add 1. And we'll roll that out and add that to your roll.
Oh,
Oh,
good.
nice.
Good scouts.
So,
Good-
okay.
good
So,
scouts.
so I'm going to... Because your roll technically failed, whatever you rolled, add that... Check those both as failures, but the joint roll was passed.
Nice.
Okay.
So... You're
I'm
not
gonna
really
save
used
that
to this part of this
persona.
of commanding yet, but they kind of help you through it, and you realize it's not too bad. It's pretty easy. It's just one of those like you need a little help getting there, if that makes sense.
With a little help from my
Mhm.
friends.
Exactly. So I can save that. get
From my
rid of
friend.
that. You are my friend. Let's see. So now we've done my stupid meme thing for the day. Oh, one of a million. Let's see. There we go. I'm going to save that and put this under that and then move that all the way over here. There we go. Feels good. Pardon me, I'm just rearranging some now needed files that I didn't think we were going to need immediately, but here we are in the now,
It's gonna
needing
happen.
them. It happened. There's no GM in the world that can't prepare for the occasional random thing.
True.
And I don't know where the fuck that went, but it apparently disappeared into the ether. Weird. Okay. Whatever. I appear to have lost an entire folder. Okay, sure. Whatever. Yeah, no, it's fine. I'll just look for it while I'm doing this. All right, I'm going to need the same thing from you, buddy. Derek, you're going to need to make me whatever role you feel is necessary. Scout, plus you had what other wises did you want to add to that?
Scout plus. I can't really justify anything else, man. Maybe Hunter.
That's fair. No, that's fair. You will be getting assistance.
Okay.
So roll it out. Roll your 1, buddy.
I got a 1.
Okay, so okay, that's not terrible. That's 1 success.
Hey, now if that's not a complete failure, then
It's not a complete failure, but
yay!
let's.
Now I have 5 scout.
Well, hold on. Let's see.
Oh.
It's not a complete failure. It is a pass
Yay!
by the skin of your teeth.
You did it.
Squeeb and Gremble are many things. They are mighty. They
Oh,
are
thanks, Hack.
strong. Oh, thank you. They are mighty. They are strong. They are great fighters. They are excellent muscle. And they are also as dim as the light at the bottom of a lake. They are not very aware. And while you're doing your scouting, you'd probably have done better if it weren't for the fact that you caught both of the two of them snickering and chortling at the back of the tortoise. And when you get closer, you realize it's because they're both engaging in a stolen hunk of pipeweed, which is meant to be smoked by mice in small quantities. And they've grabbed like a crapload, like a weasel's handful, and just like lit it on fire in a bowl, and they're both huffing it, basically, on the back, just high as a kite. And very distracted the whole time. Yeah.
I do the bonk thing, like I take both of their heads and bonk them together.
Yeah. You set them straight, and they toss it. They toss it aside.
No. Put that in Ducon's, Warren. For safekeeping. Ducon cannot trust you with it.
They go to throw it over, and they give you that look like, this is how Tunnel Lords get started, and they just hand it over. They're like, tribute to another lord, gotcha, and they just hand it over without a fight.
Ducon is not corrupt. What are you talking about?
You're a weasel. You're positively the Abraham Lincoln of weasels.
Look, it's
but you're
okay
also
if
a
they do it,
weasel.
but not on duty. Come on, man.
I mean, that's fair. Yeah, you gotta have some self control. Speaking of, I think I also have. I have to do this as well, so I'm gonna duplicate this. Is there a way for me to duplicate that? There. No, I can only make that worse. Okay. Make a folder. And so yes. Let's see. Make sure I got that right. Perfect. The night goes by quietly at first. You can only hear in the distance the loud creaking of the tortoises behind you, rumbling through the forest like distant thunder. And your two tortoises are positively dead quiet. You two even get a chance to sort of see each other from the heads of your respective tortoises. Like you both on watch duty. You get like a glance at each other across the path. And I now make a roll. Okay. You know what I really enjoy about Mouse Guard? It doesn't tell you at all what that roll is, and it gives you no context, so I don't need to hide my rolls. And in fact, rolling big rolls, I think is fun. It scares you sometimes. So that is... Okay.
Scares me.
And then...
Same.
Okay. And finally... Holy shit. Okay, so. Dukan,
Mm-hmm.
nothing seems out of place tonight. It's beautiful. The wind in your fur and the smell of rain in the air. It's positively freeing. You're really kind of just, while you are on alert, there's a little part of you that's just, you're just psyched to be here. And yeah, Julio gets it.
Oh yeah.
You're just psyched to sort of have command finally. Even though you want more, it's like a part of you that's like, yeah, no, these two dorks are my troops. They're under my command. And they're doing what I tell them to. Good. Sienna, you're about 2 hours away from midnight. When from below you, you hear a... And you can see one of the mice on the lower part of the tortoise are sort of just like gesturing to you to like, come over here. As you get closer, you can see it's Autumn, and she's drawn her bow and is pointing out into the brush. I see eyes.
How large?
I'd say mice, but it's not just one, and I don't think it's just one group. I'm seeing signs of more than one. I'd say 3, maybe 4. I don't know what they have, but they're moving pretty quietly. So,
Are we surrounded?
I'm not sure. I'm not even sure they'll attack. They might. So far, they seem content to watch. She's saying this to you, like, doing her best to, from a distance, seem like she's just conversing quietly with you pleasantly. But you can see, like, the half of her face that's facing the forest seems positively normal. The half of her face on the other side is what's betraying all her emotion, and she seems very concerned. You realize she's actually pretty good at lying. Suddenly, makes you sort of realize maybe this is why she's been so like content to slowly build up. She's had like anonymity about her because she just hasn't wanted to stand out. It makes you wonder about her a little bit, but that passes as soon as you focus on the threat at hand.
We'll worry about that later. How well can I see right now?
You're a mouse, and mice do have a degree of night sight. So you have moderate ability to see in the dark. I would say make a make a mouse nature roll. Now that you've been alerted to this, and you now sort of know a little bit about what to expect.
Okay, it's not terrible.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's actually pretty good. Strain as you might, and I'm going to say, I'm going to apply a 2 success bonus because you were mentioned about this. You only get to briefly see in passing the flicker of little black eyes in the forest. Clearly mice of some kind. Things seem pretty tense. They don't seem to attack yet. They're definitely moving in some kind of formation. Loose, though it is. They're not just wandering. They're stalking. They're tracking.
Is Tom nearby to where I can get his attention?
He's on the other side of the tortoise, but he can literally look through and see you, and, like, if you gesture towards him, he'll approach.
I'm gonna do the little head nod, like, get over here.
He scuttles over to you. What can I do for you?
I quickly fill him in on the situation. Now, very quietly, I want you to alert mice. Tell them to go and alert those that they can. I want everyone on guard and try make this known that I don't want them to appear as if we are expecting to be attacked, but I want them to be on alert with that expectation.
All right.
Continue to go about your business, but keep an eye out. There's something afoot, and I don't like it.
All right. I'll get to it. And he nods and sort of scurries off. And Autumn turns to you. I'll do the same if you'd like.
Not yet. I think that we should try and find a more advantageous spot. I don't like us being out in the open where we can be surrounded.
All right. That's fair. Well, let's find ourselves somewhere better. Maybe there's a clearing up ahead. And she sort of scampers a little higher and takes a peer into the dark. I'll make a roll for her over here. I actually randomized rolls for some of these characters. I'm quite happy with how this turned out. She sort of looks back down at you and shakes her head, slides down. No clearing for at least over a quarter mile.
There's no guarantee we'll make it there.
If you'd like my advice, I'm willing to offer it.
Go ahead.
I know it's the worst part of it, but sometimes you can only just wait for the hammer to fall. I think it's not a bad idea for us to hole up. If we're lucky, they won't even attack. They have no reason to right now. We outnumber them still. It's like 4 or 5 mice.
I have no intention of starting a fight. I simply wish to be prepared should they decide to do something stupid.
Well then, we show them what guard steel can do. I'm at your command.
We will continue forward, as you said, hole up if necessary, but I want mice on constant guard and patrol. We can sleep in shifts until we're certain that no attack is happening or that daylight breaks, and we can go from there.
You've got it, Commander. Seems smart. You want me to send a runner over to the weasels? Let them know. They're like literally like within skittering distance. Your tortoises are walking in very close formation. It's like maybe a couple of
They
mice.
won't have to get off the turtle to go to the other one, or
They might have to for a second. They can maybe leap over. Like, it's pretty close. You're really, like, the structures of your tortoises are right next to each other. So it's possible that you could board one without having to get off the other, if that makes sense. Having to get down on one of them.
I would prefer that, just because I don't want one of my mice to get nabbed. If we have an agile mouse who would be willing to do that, try it.
Okay. So looking at this, okay, and I'm just organizing some notes over here. God, I love this. Okay, so as you,
I would like to preface, I'm tying a rope around them. That way, if they miss and fall, I'll just pull them back up.
okay, that's fair. I'd say the most agile person for that would be Thumb. He's used to working in the rope work of ships and the barges, and so if anyone's going to be comfortable at height and at speed, it's going to be them.
Right, nice. And for Tom again, I'm sure he's probably alerted everyone by now, or at least spread word for the other mice to alert the rest.
Absolutely. He comes back lickety-split, and he is ready when you are. At the moment, I'm going to say, Jukan, you're still probably just, like, enthused to be here. You really haven't picked up on anything yet with your roles.
That's fair.
I would, before Tom goes over, tell him to instruct the weasels, do not attack first. We don't know how many are out there, and if they're content to just watch and not do anything, then we should do the same, but remain on alert.
Okay. I think that's fair.
Okay. We will abide.
Now that I've done all that, good. I now have everything I need. So let's pull this over. I think we're actually good where we are right here. So, Thom, getting his rope tied around his waist, hearing your orders, nods. I'll be back in a flash, and we're going to make a mousy roll for him. He's pretty agile.
I won't let you fall, Tom. Yeah, that's my boy.
He makes it across. It's a little teetery for a second, but he makes it.
It's my son.
He steps back a little bit and gets on all fours and skitter, leap. And he does a little bounce between, you can see for a second in the moonlight, just him in midair. He comes to a skid on the other side. And you can hear one of the weasels like, Hey, what you doing over here, mouse? And he walks over, shut up. Starts talking to the two weasels over there. At this point, Dukan, you would absolutely... You might not have seen what's going on out in the woods. You absolutely see a little mouse do like a little power dive onto your tortoise. And the two weasels, you like both start speaking up. So you see them immediately.
Stay here. Don't go anywhere.
I go and I talk to the little mousy.
And Thom just sort of, that was a rush.
I did
Reporting
not
from
know
Sayana.
that mice could fly.
Only me, sir. Missive from my boss, Sayana. Something's tracking us in the woods. Mice, from what we can tell. At least 4. Maybe more. But that's the ones we've spotted, at least on our side. Have you seen anything over here?
No. Where were these mice?
So Thom points into the brush and gestures in the direction of where the eyes were seen. And as he does, you hear a and into the wood in front of Thom.
My child. Get
A
out of
coral
there.
bolt lands in the ground, and
I'll kill them.
Thom, thankfully quick on his feet, hears it coming and ducks, so that it does, in
Yes.
fact, land at his feet and not through him. And he just looks down.
I
About
pick him up.
there.
Point.
There! And he points into the dark, and you hear another as more bolts are loosed.
As we're getting fired on, I just like bring him close to my face and I go,
Tell Sayana Dukan will take care of it.
and I just throw him like back to the other tortoise.
Make a health roll for that.
Oh god, if you throw him too far
He'll be fine.
or not far enough, then I'm gonna be wearing a weasel
It'll be
pelt.
okay, don't worry, don't
You
worry.
don't fail. You don't succeed. But that means...
Do I still have the rope?
Yes, you do. All that it means is that it's not crazy. There's no, like, serious failure. You're big, and he's small. You can toss him the distance. It's a little rougher than you intend to. You kind of really, like, more throw him into the railing than you do onto the actual, like, deck. And you
I
kind of...
immediately run forward and pull him over, and I'm just like, "That darn weasel.
Oh, I'm sinking into the shadows at this point. I'm going hunter mode.
I know it was you. It's always Dukan if it's not Giles.
At this
And
point, you
Giles
would hear
isn't
more...
here.
as more of these bolts come sailing through and begin peppering your side of the ship. We are in full combat now.
Okay.
So, you are being absolutely engaged. So, Derek, it's combat time.
You got it, buddy. I will put on appropriate music. Spooky combat sounds about accurate.
That sounds right, yes.
Put on avenging music because no one
Avenging
shoots
music.
bolts at my apprentice.
Perfect. I love it. That's actually quite perfect. I love that. Just the wah in the distance.
That's Sayana's war cry, just like no.
You just look over and she's wearing a fucking orc mask for a second.
Mm.
So
I'm just the hand of Sauron on my face.
you will have man flesh. That's weird. You don't know what that is, but you'll have it. Okay, so I'm gonna need you two to choose actions for yours, and I'm gonna need you to choose an action for your troops. So we're doing 2 sets of orders, and I will have my foes do their thing. So let's see. So that's 1. That is okay, and then finally the last one. Yes. Okay. All right. When you've chosen what your actions are, we'll go one by one. As
I'm
I
ready.
know right now we have different troops at play, so it's going to be about the same here. All right. So
You're ready, go ahead.
okay, yeah. Whoever wants to go first.
So I'm going to issue the order to my boys to defend the tortoise. I don't want. I mean, there's only 2 of them, but they'll be able to kill however many mice come in. I'm not worried about that. I don't want the tortoise to get taken.
Fair.
I'm going to maneuver myself and get into a good position to strike at the enemies next turn.
Okay. So, Derek, against you, let's see. I'm going to make this roll separately. This I'm going to make off the table. You don't need to see
Okay.
how big that pool is.
Oh god.
Okay. And so, while your troops defend, the unknown attackers reveal themselves in part. You finally get a glimpse at your attackers. Just a little bit, a hair. In the passing of the moon over the area, you get a glint of bright red fur, clad in leaves and leather, as
Beautiful.
mice in the fur of predators begin to pepper your troops. So
You're gonna make me kill these cute, adorable little mice. How dare you?
So let's see. So I'm going to do individual rolls here. They chose to attack. So we're going to be making this roll here, and I actually should have their stats over here. I do so love how extensive the NPC listing is in here, and how adaptable it is. It's so awesome.
That's good.
So, okay, perfect. So, wow. Damn, boy. Okay.
Damn, boy, he's
Damn, boy, he thick.
That's a thick ass boy.
So, that would be their attack roll. Because it is an attack roll versus defense roll, your boys got to roll their own defense pool. So, looking at them, they have the rules of Weasel. In this case, this would be not Weasel spies, but Weasel soldiers. So they are fighter 5, which will be defense. So for them, they roll the same pool actually.
Oh,
Okay.
boys.
Just a little bit lower. So as you issue the order for them to defend, they hang back and begin to they sort of grab their weapons and heft them and sort of skitter about on their decks, sort of looking for foes to lash out at. And as they do, you just hear more as more arrows are fired in volleys, quarrels flying through, and you see one of them hits Gremble and he just goes, ah! And he pulls out the bolt and throws it to the ground.
He's okay. He'll be all right.
Yeah, he's been blooded, but he's all right.
Rub some dirt on
Mechanically
it.
speaking, he's lost 1 health out of a large pool. So, but they seem like they're kind of not really used to defending. They don't really have anything to like immediately use as ranged weapons, or at least they haven't thought of how to use them.
Yeah, that was my other thought. So I
Yeah,
don't think they have anything.
They're not really that. They're not really prepared
Resourceful.
for that yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll probably take them a minute to realize there's a stash of spears inside the tortoise. They're like they'll run in and get it in a minute.
That's fair.
As for you, as you go out, make me your roll you're going to be using. What are
I
you
would
rolling?
like to use Hunter.
All right, go ahead.
Hunter. Hog.
Nice. Yes. Whoo-hoo-hoo. That's
I
really
become
good.
one with a shadow.
You do. You fade into the dark, basically, just sprinting into the shadows, a la Batman. And you behind you hear into the wood behind you as 2 quarrel bolts thud where you were a minute ago. And at a time that you can't understand, you hear clearly mouse voices. And like they're clearly coordinating amongst themselves. They heard you, obviously. And despite their light armor and their surprisingly they're very rustic equipment, from how they're shooting very well. In fact, as you get closer, you realize they're not using crossbows. They have longbows. They're also throwing darts.
Oh,
And
shit.
that's what's been flying at you.
What the
So
fuck?
far, they haven't even drawn their bows yet. So they're skilled, very clearly, at their jobs. They've been using these to harry into different positions.
Mm.
Roll me a scout roll. You specifically. Just scout. Only scout. Just a scout roll.
I'll be right back. Sorry.
Take your time.
Nice.
Now that's what I was waiting for. At this point, as you're ducking into the shadows, your eyes go up for a moment, in part to follow what you assumed at the time was a quarrel or a bolt sinking into a tree. Now you know it's a dart. But as your eyes focus on the slight bit of what appears to be like possibly ermine fur wrapped around the base of the dart, this little like bright white fuzz, your eye goes up and you see something flitting in front of the moonlight. It's for a second you'd think it was just like a trick of the eye, but it's not, because after just a second you realize it's mouse shaped, like mice hanging from something. And you hear some next to you, and you see right where you were, because you're still moving in the shadows quite elegantly, by the way. You are hard to hit. This was not a dart. This was a crossbow quarrel, because it has sunk all the way to the little feathers at the back. And the feathers are halfway pushed into the wood of a tree root where you were standing. Those bows, clearly crossbows, are high tension, made for killing beasts.
I grin.
At this point, Sienna, what are the orders you've given your troops and yourself?
I want my troops to take a defensive position as well, defend themselves and the tortoise, and I instruct them to try and maintain our stance. Don't let them push us back or into any position. If it seems like they're trying to force us in one way, try to resist that.
Huh?
And then Sienna is going to scramble to the highest position she can find, and then she's gonna call out for the leader of this troop. So you just hear her yell out into the night, "Mouse leader, show yourself! Why do you attack your own kind unprovoked? We do not wish to harm you, but if you do not cease your fire, then you will taste our weapons. Taste our steel."
Okay. All right, that's interesting. So I'm gonna say that would count as a feint. I
Okay.
figure. Or maneuver. One of the two of those, I think, on your part. Because you're maneuvering for advantage, in this case, diplomatically, but you are.
Mhm.
Or a feint, because it's kind of an unexpected... I don't know what angle you're going about it for. Are you genuinely meaning to call them off? Or are you using this as a means to draw them out to engage them? Both are a feint, but it just be sort of, it depends on what you're rolling in that instance.
She means it to be genuine, but she might use it strategically if it seems like they have no intentions of backing off. But if it seems like they're coming to genuinely negotiate and perhaps call off their attack, then she's not gonna just turn around and order her men to start killing them.
All right, that's fair. I would say your call then. You can choose. I'll let you use.
I was gonna suggest a persuader roll.
All right, you can use persuader roll. You just need to
If
choose
it's
whether it
possible.
would be a maneuver or a feint.
I think I agree. It's probably a
Okay.
feint because it is kind of
All right
unexpected.
then. Interesting. So as I flip open to my favorite one of my favorite sections of the book, conflict. So for this particular part here, so it's feint versus attack because these troops are attacking you. So again, so first,
I think I'm gonna
okay.
Debating if I should explode that 6.
Let's
or
resolve
not.
your roll first. I'll let you decide once I make mine.
Yeah.
So, in this
Okay.
case, because you're doing a feint, let's see, fighting against attack, feint. Okay. So, unfortunately, actually no, hold on. Let me just make sure about this again. Twice, I think. Let's make sure. Against independent. See. Okay. So this would be a independent test. All right. So you have 2 successes. You are rolling independent of your foe because
1 success. There's like a
yes, it'd be
1.
1 success right now, and they would roll. Okay. So they're rolling. They have 2 successes
Okay.
at the moment versus your 1. You will still get your action. You'll still get a little success on your part. They will get some success on their part. And as far as against your troops, okay, versus your troops.
That's my
Holy
troops?
shit. Yeah.
Oh yes, that's my boys.
Say what you will about mice. They know how to hold a position, and they know how to defend, surprisingly well. And so, as another round of crossbow bolts, and these ones are crossbow bolts, come sinking into the wood of the frame around you, and even one of them plinks off the shell of Garo, your tortoise. Your mice are already ducking behind like the columns of wood that make up your structure. Some ducking into lower sections. They're pulling out bows and aiming them and firing, loosing shots into the woods. You can't hear any mice being injured, but you are hearing them being forced to move somewhat. A long moment passes, and in a language you recognize as one like yours, enough to understand, kind of like the equivalent of like Portuguese to Spanish. Like, there's enough there where you're like, I can sort of get the gist, but there's something a little off about it.
It's like when you hear a Canadian speak.
Yes, I think that's fair. You hear in a broken voice, not from the woods, from above, say, "We are not your kind." And you would hear sunk next to you as a dart lands next to you. In the distance, and this is going to be fun. 1, 2. Okay. In the distance, you hear crashing. And okay. In the distance, you hear crashing, and out in the woods, a scream. Over by you, actually, Dukan, of a mouse. Not one you recognize. One of the ones that have been fighting you. And the sound is something that sounds almost like liquid hitting ground.
We take those, chat.
Next round of combat. What are your actions as I double down on mine?
I'm gonna have my boys grab the javelins and start attacking back.
Okay, so they're attacking. Okay. What about you, Sienna?
I'm gonna. Oh, okay.
And you too, Derek. What about you specifically, Derek? And what about you, Sienna?
I'm gonna go for the one with the bow, the one that just tried to shoot me.
Okay. So you're going on the attack.
Yeah.
And Sienna, what about you?
I tell my men to keep doing what they're doing, and then I shout back at the leader. Perhaps you're right, that you are not the same as us, because we would never be so cowardly and cruel as to mount such an attack like this. And then I'm gonna throw something at him. What would I have on me? Because I'm not gonna throw my staff.
I'd assume not. There are a number of slings on board, along with daggers. So if you want to throw a knife, which is what they're called, they don't actually have per se daggers. It's just they're all knives.
Can I actually see the person who's talking to me?
They're way above you. I'm not going to say you can see them immediately. That'll be reflected by your roll for your attack. So
because I want to aim at whatever's keeping them suspended. I want to knock them down onto the deck.
Oh,
that's
interesting.
my goal.
Okay, so that would be an attack for sure. And if that's the case, then we are looking at, for this particular battle, that would just be an attack. I'll say it's an attack -1. So whatever your roll you're using, which I would say for that you're probably using fighting, like the equivalent of the fighting rolls. So.
Oh. Then it's -1. I'm just rolling 1. Of course, it would be a 1 every single time I've rolled 1 die this session. it has landed on a 1 or like 3 or below?
It's been brutal. I'm gonna say if you don't re-roll that, you grab a rock and just hurl it into the dark.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and re-roll that. Are you kidding me? Another one?
I would say what are the odds, but
That's
they're
like
exactly
the
1 in
fifth
36.
one I've rolled today.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, no, you grab a rock and just yeet into the dark, and it doesn't hit anything. Like,
I made
Yeah.
my point.
fuck you. In the dark,
Get down here and fight me like a mouse.
in return, you see an arrow come sailing out from the forest in front of you, and you barely dodge out of the way, but it's enough to catch the edge of it as it just like crosses in front of you on your cheeks. So there's like a little line of blood and just chunk behind you into the wood, and it punches through one of the wood struts, and the arrow heads out on the other side. Wow, those bows are strong, and against your troops.
Even though internally Cyan is like, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, she tries to just like not flinch, just like, yeah, that's right, you missed me.
Your troops fare a fair bit better, as
Good.
the assailants fire a combination of darts and arrows at them, but they continue to hold their ground, ducking down, and now begin to return fire. In earnest, actually pouring bow shot and quarrel back into the bush. One of them with a sling, which would be Thom, just and throwing it off. You can hear a crack in the distance, and a mouse shouts something. Some local expletive you don't understand, but you know is an expletive from the way it's said.
What does squeak mean?
My name's Squeeb on the other tortoise. Speaking of, on the other tortoise, as I roll this out,
The boys.
the boys. The boys! That's one. Interesting. So, at this point, the boys, still kind of like hissing and beating at the brush with their large pole axes and gisarms and billet hooks. A couple of the mice come running on your tortoise, who were supposed to be guarding your weasels, come running over carrying spears and go, "Hey, dim lad!" and just tosses one of them a spear, just grabs it and hisses at him. Testing patience, and just throws it into the brush, and you hear a ah! in the distance. While they don't go for more
Wilhelm
spears, they
scream.
clearly can be fed them. In the return, you hear another thunk as this time a quarrel bolt lands soundly in the arm of Gremble.
Poor
And
Grumbly.
Gremble groans and belches out a stream of weasel cussing into the dark. Derek, do Khan make your roll, my friend?
Can I add Hunter to it because I hunted last turn?
Yes, you
Oh
can.
boy.
Oh my god.
Jesus. How many times
17.
that?
76. So what was that combined roll there? What was the total?
Fighter, hunt, hunter.
Okay, in the future, only one skill at a time, and then
Oh,
wise
okay.
can be added. But
Got
I'll
it.
let you do it this time. Just be aware, I'm going to do it on my end. In
That's fair.
return. So for that,
Probably gonna go ahead and explode those sixes.
probably a good idea. We'll see. Let's see what you get. Go ahead, do your thing.
Oh, it keeps going.
Keeps going. Keeps going. So that's two. That's
It
three
keeps
more.
going. It keeps going.
4 more. 5 more. 4 more. Okay, cool.
There's all the sixes
Yeah, I
I
stole
should
all
have
your
been
sixes. I'm
rolling.
sorry.
Bastard.
It's 4. Yeah, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, minus 3. That's 9 successes
Pog.
versus.
No successes.
1 success. But this is a versus roll. Actually, no, this is independent. This is independent because they're both they're attacking you as well. So this is they get one hit on you, and you basically get to hit them back 8 times.
Yeah.
So
I think I
as
just make a
you-
beeline straight for them, like leaving myself wide open for that opening shot.
pretty much. This time you get an arrow through you. Like it doesn't go into you and stick. The arrow passes through a part of your chest. Doesn't seem to hit anything vital because you don't, instantly die. But you feel the pain as it passes through you. You channel it in and describe how you attack, buddy.
Yeah, he just like slams his head down. The helmet locks into place. The eel bone helmet, and he just, like you said, the guy's like up in a tree, right?
Oh, this is different. These guys are not the same guys as the dude who's up in the tree.
Okay.
There's something else going on with that.
I Horaloo throw myself like up into the air at first, then throwing my halberd, and then come slamming down into the ground, like next to my halberd, and it's just a utter bloodbath in a matter of like flashes of light in the dark. I'm just surrounded in mice.
You just hear an "Arr!" as like 3 or 4 mice go sailing in slow motion with arcs of blood like a John Woo film away from you and the small crater you've made in the ground. As these mice just and just one hits a tree and just crack as you see like he hits and breaks in half like a Twix bar and lands on the ground. There are still a couple more mice around you, but then you hear nearby, and the mice by you all drop, and you can see new mice dropping around you, not wearing the same colors. You were fighting one group of mice, and yet, if I may open this, I need to reorganize. This is what I need to do because I've got so many documents. These mice are not wearing cloaks of red and leather. They're wearing cloaks of feathers
Oh shit!
with
They're
crossbows.
of blue and feather. I'm
Yes.
sorry, I saw an opportunity and I could not resist.
Yes.
To rhyme.
You're good. You're good. They drop down, and some are pulling back crossbows. Others draw knives and sink them into the mice on the ground and finish them off with a couple of strangled cries. You can see one of the apparently fox fur mice still standing, and he draws a short sword and clashes with the apparently bird bonds mouse. You very quickly realize this wasn't an attack that was joint. This was an accidental clash between 3 forces. Both descended on you at the same time, and apparently have as much love for each other as they have for you. In the distance, you hear another 3 mice scream. Cut quiet. This time on your side, Sienna.
It's the bear mice attacking now.
It's Cocaine Mouse!
And the
run!
wolf mice. The wolf mice are right behind them.
Yeah, you guys asked. You guys asked for 2 complications. I give you 2
We didn't
complications.
ask for it.
Oh, I'm talking to the crowd. There are 2
No,
of
I know.
you. 2 of you out there. Dragon Crown and Natisha, I got you. So now that we revealed the 2 forces, those from above, in the distance you hear the squeaking out as like bats fly off, echolocating. Likely that's how these mice came from above. They were hanging from bats.
Gotcha. Right, because they
yeah.
have the bats.
Mhm.
We have to free the bats. I
And
want a big
so
old wolf bat homie to help out, and like we're mammals, so we can understand each other. You know.
we're both adorable, weird, noodly animals with weirdly endearing snoots.
I know.
The
bats have
alliance
the
is
longest,
huge.
cutest snoots.
They do. They're just weird animal. They're just weird flying dogs. And I love them.
They have those tongues that like.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. So, what is your next set of actions for your troops and you, as I do them for me over here?
I press the attack.
Attack button. And for your troops?
Same.
Okay. Everybody attacking on your end. And what about you, Maui?
My troops are going to continue defending because that seems like the smart thing to do. Sienna still doesn't entirely want to engage in this fight. She's hoping that maybe at least one of these groups will eventually be reasoned with, but she's not going to just sit there and let them hack away at us. So troops continue to defend, and then she's still trying to get the attention of the commander who addressed her. So I'm gonna grab something else to throw again while taunting him. Just, do you always fight your foes from above? Are you too cowardly to come down and face me?
All right.
And I guess I'll make another attack roll.
Go ahead. So that'll be for you.
Are you kidding me? Why can I not roll above a 3?
I'm sorry. Just remember,
I've been
every time
thinking
you
that the
fail,
whole session, but it's 10 o'clock now, and I haven't.
I'm sorry. If it makes you feel any better, every time you fail, make sure you're checking that failure box. You have failed at
I
least
did
3
forget
times.
to do that. Oh, thank
So
you
you are
for reminding me.
You're welcome. Remember, it's easier to level up with failure than it is with success. So you are
Red.
I know, it's
rapidly
just-
approaching your level up.
Thank you for
It's
the
just
resub,
funny to
Red.
hear someone
Oh,
say,
Brad.
remember, you failed 3 times.
Sorry. Red, thank you for the resub, buddy. Much love, homie. Much love,
Love
dude.
you,
Thank you
pal.
so much.
Hell yeah. Well, we're gonna make the roll on their side.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's right. Fail 2.
They fail
Fall
harder
off
than
your
you.
bat.
They actually fail harder than you. That's a 1 degree.
Oh,
And Red gives you a
Red
fader
gave you
persona.
Fate Persona.
Yes. Giles will avenge me.
From the distance, I'm coming at ya! And just some dude with a broadsword flies through and chops someone's head off and rides off.
I summon Giles' strength
Oh,
and I
shit.
will him to fall off
Red's
his
popping
bat.
off.
Couple more. Aw, buddy, thank you.
Nice.
So they actually failed against you. That's a degree of failure versus you having 0 degrees of failure. You don't have any degrees of success, but no degrees of failure. So, considering what you were asking, you weren't even trying to hurt this guy. You're trying to dismount him. And so this time, when you reach back and you grab something out of the pouch of projectiles that you guys keep on board to sort of toss at things, you never. It's sort of like castle walls, right? Like you have things just sort of toss over the edge, garbage, heavy objects, whatever. In this case, you reach in and you grab a knife, and you throw it up, and it is surprisingly well balanced as it flips end over end over end, and in the distance you can hear a as like a weird squeaking baddie sound cuts out, and you hear a
No, I'm
and
sorry.
this mouse thud.
I don't mean to
Squeaking
kill
Batty
the
is my
bat.
favorite musical artist.
Yeah. You hear this this squeaking sound, and just an in front of you, as you can see this Bond mouse lands in front of you. You get a clear view of him, the one in the blue feathers, and he just lands not quite like superhero landing, because that's a great way to destroy your knees. But he sort of lands on all 4s and then picks himself back up and just sort of looks across the deck at you. And in the distance, you could hear that squeaking as the bat, like in the distance, like flying away. Clearly injured, but not dead. So,
Okay, good. I'm sorry.
buddy, no. And so this mouse looks at you and narrows his brow, and you can see that he has across his face a set of smeared paint white in like a curved V, and you can see very clearly it's like a barn owl face painted onto his, and he glares at you with this deathly angry like set of eyes. And you're sure he's gonna fucking fall on you in this next turn. Like, absolutely. If he wasn't gonna kill you before, he's gonna try to kill you now. But you have him. You have his attention undivided. Derek, make your rolls.
Okie dokie, I'm gonna fight about it. Do.
Because you have either fighter, I would say, for this, because you're not hunting.
Oh no, my luck turned against me.
Ooh. That's-
Explode D6.
There
And
you
it's
go.
One success.
Yes. Versus.
Oh fuck.
Ho, 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 ho. So, you have to admit, you've never really had mice drop in on you before. That's not a thing that's ever happened in your entire life. You never had mouse like SAS parachute trooper down around you, and all these mice with their crossbows just aim them up and sidearm them, firing and charging at you as they draw short swords, just mobbing at you. And you catch a solid trio of quarrel shots.
Ow.
One in the thigh and two in the sides, as another one runs up with a dagger and just plants it in your thigh and just drags it, screaming in some slightly higher pitched, almost sounds like bird language as they're like clawing into you. Each of them is clad in like blue feathers, a little different than the others. Some have different war paint on. Others have slightly different arrangements of gear. You even see one that appears to have a gauntlet of some kind for some kind of prosthetic, as it's not like a normal mouse hand, it's almost like a claw. It's articulated by how the hand rotates. And like they are all just in on you, just shanking you over and over. And if you were a mouse, you'd be dead.
Oh, definitely.
But
I'm
you're a
not.
weasel, and they're like up to your thighs. So it's kind of the same level of threat to you as your average person if they were attacked by 6 or so toddlers intent on killing you. It's
Yeah.
still dangerous, but manageable.
A little bit more coordinated.
Toddlers
than
with
toddlers.
knives.
Yes. Toddlers with knives. So for that, Derek, this is the first time I'm going to do this to you. This is the first time I think we've ever been in this situation. Your character is actually going to suffer. I'm going to say this is a failure. So 1, you're going to mark failure. 2, you're going to check.
I broke even.
You did. They beat you, though.
Okay, so that's still a failure. Okay.
Yeah, this is an independent set of rolls. So you broke even, so you didn't fail, but you didn't really manage to hurt them.
Got it.
They, however, regardless of your success, are able to hurt you back.
Got it.
So they are hurting the crap out of you. So you are injured at this point.
Ow.
So I'm going to check that condition. I'm going to assume you're no longer angry, because you haven't been angry for a while, I don't think. Unless
I'm
you
always
chose
angry.
to keep it.
Yep.
You chose to keep it?
Yep.
Okay. All right then. So, yeah, in the forest, you just hear ow, 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 like getting peppered with dagger stabs and with quarrel bolts as these mice are unloading on you. You realize if this keeps going like this, you can die. You will absolutely die.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
Imagining you coming to that realization, like, I might actually die to mice. I didn't realize this was possible.
paratrooper mice out of paratrooper mice? The fuck am I on? Like, are we in Normandy? What's going on? Thankfully, it appears as though as if you boys are really good at killing this round,
Good job,
and your
boys.
foes aren't. So, as the if we zoom back to your tortoise, we can see Squeeb and Gremble both glaring into the dark. And as the mouse just kind of like walks up, like, please just take the things, just like holds up his little like spears and just sort of shakes them in front of him. And then you see Squeeb just go, fine, you want me to use the spears? I'll use the spears. And scoops up like 2 handfuls of the things And then Gremel just runs over and snatches another set of them in his hands. And, like, grabbing hold of, like, a bunch of pretzel sticks at the same time. He's got, like, it's like holding, like, 4 to 5 pencils at once. And they just kind of, like, turn and just throw them into the woods. Like,
Shotgun.
full-on rage throw.
Mhm.
Yeah, and they just turn like, is that what you wanted? And then in the fourth, you just hear a, ah! Like, as a number of mice just get skewered. And they just, like, slowly look over. Oh, that worked. Yeah, more? And the mouse just
More
like,
spears.
spears! And, like, you can see more of the mice running back to grab more spears. Yeah, they actually whooped ass there for a second.
Good job, boys.
Yeah, no, they're all but done with their foes over there. And only one of them is injured. That's not bad. So, final round of combat as things go for 2 different reasons on 2 different sides. So, what are your
There's no
actions?
problem that Dukan can't kill his way out of.
Oh, hold on. I almost forgot. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So, at this point, Dukan, as you're being, or at least your thighs are being perforated repeatedly by mousy blades, in the distance, you don't just hear screaming. You see, briefly, what's making it, and thumping into the clearing, a bisected mouse body, just the upper torso, lands in the mud, eyes glazed over, bottom half sheared off. And the mice who aren't ventilating you, who are loading quarrels, like, just look over, and all of them just, like, pale out for a second. Just freak the fuck out. It's
I think this
pretty
gives Dukan an
extreme.
idea.
Yeah. On the other side, you can see, very briefly, I'm going to actually have both of you two make me one more scout roll. Or nature roll, whichever you'd like. Okay, that's pretty good.
I'm gonna explode that because I want a good success.
Roger that.
Yes, finally!
Nice.
Finally!
Very nice. Okay. So that is a success, and Sayana, you have 2 successes. Dukan, because you're injured, you had a further negative penalty. You're also literally in the middle of combat and being stabbed by, like, a crap load of mice. So I'm going to assume that your character wasn't able to quite reach the threshold. Sayana, you just reach it. And as you see this Bonds mouse in front of you with the quarrel, it's like half loaded into their crossbow, over their shoulder, you see something big. Bigger than a mouse. Not huge, but large. Very familiar silhouette. It's a weasel. For sure, it's a weasel. Not one of yours. And as you see it run across the path ahead of you, which is the only reason you see it, it just sprints across the open ground, this flicker of darkness against the pale moonlight. You see one of the mice in feathered cloaks, seeing an approach, shout something, point, and then an arm lashes out. And you can't make out more than its silhouette, but clearly one of its arms lashes out. And the mouse just separates down its body like someone sliced through cheese with a hot knife, and just falls to the ground quietly. Something's out there killing. You don't even see a weapon, by the way. Although its arms seem strange. Something very weird about it.
Its arm is the weapon.
You said it, not me. I'm not even joking. You actually said it. Yes. Very clearly, it's wielding some kind of strange weapons. It almost looks like it chopped the mouse to death.
Oh.
So one final round, I guess, of actions. What are we all doing? I have declared my actions.
Hunter's still combat, right?
Yes, largely for beasts, but I'm willing to let you use Hunter for this particular one. Only if you go on the attack, though.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely going on the attack.
Okay.
One extra
All right.
die.
So attack on that.
Take it. And I'm gonna pop those 6s. Ah, they didn't do anything. That's okay.
Still pretty good. What did you want your troops to do, by the way?
They are also going to attack.
Okay. And Sienna, on your side, very fast.
My troops are going to keep defending.
Okay. Troops are going to keep defending, and you are going to be, I'm assuming, still trying to diplomatically work your way out.
Yes, I have something I'd like to say to the owl bondsman, bondsmouse.
Okay, sounds good. So, Derek, since you rolled first, I'm going to roll against you. I'm not going to roll 15 dice on you for mice, though. That's ridiculous.
That's right.
There we go.
I'll take
That's... Yeah, that's pretty much more than enough. How do you do it, Derek? How do you drop
So-
your assailants? Because that's more
The
than enough to clear them.
So seeing the bisected upper half of a mouse body gives Dukan an idea, and he just he kind of gets overwhelmed with rage at the aspect that these mice have the audacity to try to be the ones to kill him. So he grabs the first one that charged him and has like been stabbing into his leg the whole time, and he just like picks him up by the neck while he's like probably still like stabbing into his arm, and he just like squeezes his head until it pops, and then like before that body can even like hit the ground, he's picked up his halberd and he's just sheared through the entire back line of the mice that were attacking him, including like by the time he brings the axe around, the one that he just popped the head of. Spin to win.
In an almost elegant Soul Calibur-esque flourish, your character lifts the one mouse up, pop, and then in a backhand slice just brings it around and cleaves them all down. And it's almost it's majestic from your perspective. For just a briefest of moments, you can feel that deep part of your weasel psyche, that part that wants to eat, to fight, to hunt. You just feel it in your bones, that deep satisfaction. You hadn't killed quite like this for a while. Like, sure, large beasts, great predators, that kind of thing. But this is the birthright of weasels. You can feel flowing through your veins. And so, whack. They all drop down. One fell swoop, just cleaved down. Back at your tortoise, on the other hand, the two dorks going at it again. At this
fuck yeah,
point,
boys.
they are just a
They figured it
well-oiled
out.
machine. Yeah, pretty much. The mice are just now at this point, let's bringing spears, throwing at them. They're catching them and throwing them as soon as they get them. Hold their hand out, get another one, throw it out, and they're just little. They're like living ballistas, just grabbing, throwing, and you're seeing mice just going shunk, getting pinned to the walls. I'm not gonna bother to roll. You know what? I'll roll just for the sake of it. But
Oh shit.
they
that's-
are bringing it back.
1, 2, 3, 4,
They're
5,
still
6,
down.
2, 3, 4, 5 by 1. The boys got it by 1. That's crazy.
They did, and it's independent rolls, so they're both doing damage to each other.
Oh shit.
Because they're both attacking. So your boys pin these dudes to the ground as they're going along. But as they are getting their last shots at, and you're seeing arrows flying and just shunk, two of them, one into the shoulder and the other one into the chest of Grumble as he takes arrows, and another like dart into the other shoulder, whereas the other one catches like a dart into the side of the head and an arrow into his clavicle, and they both kind of like reeling, sort of pull back, panting as the firing of arrows and quarrels and darts around them finally settles, and only the sound of gurgling mice on your side tells you that you've won, at least on that particular side. And the mice on your tortoise sort of like looking up at the weasels like, are they gonna die? Like, that dude's got like 2 arrows in him. No, he's got 3. He's got 3 arrows in him. I'm just like, I need a drink, is what Grumble says. He's like, get a mail now, and just we're gonna fold over from that side. Thank you, Dawn. Appreciate you, buddy. It's nice to see you. So over on the other side, we're gonna do your troops first. Your troops you've ordered to defend. And in the brush, you can see that the opposite forces are attacking. They're attacking each other, though, as much as they're attacking you now. Now that you have seen things as they are, you can see that in the brush, mice wearing cloaks of feathers and cloaks of fox fur are stabbing each other, shooting each other point blank. It's a brawl. It's a whirlwind out there. The fact that you're attracting as much bow fire as you are tells you that this would have been a major ambush if any one of these guys had arrived by themselves. The fact that they have enough manpower to wage war against one another as well as you, if it weren't for the fact that multiple groups of them showed up, it might have been difficult. That's one. That's two. So, entertainingly, the first one was the forces of those in the brush. They get no successes. And your mice holding back aren't really trying to kill these Bond's mice in the forest. They are doing their best to throw them off their game. So a couple of them throw nets into the forest, and you can hear mice crying frustratedly, trying to claw their way out. Others throw rocks and stones. You can even see one run over with a glass orb filled with smoke and just yeet it into the forest. And you realize that is a chemical reagent for your torch. It's supposed to create a different color, but it also creates a very fantastic smoke bomb of relatively unbreathable fumes. And when he tosses it, you see, and the mice just begin to scatter, coughing on your side. You wanted to say a thing to the mouse in front of you. As you do, you see the mouse reaches in and grabs a short blade out of his belt and looks at you and says something in a language you don't understand, but it's clearly a go on.
I put my weapon on my back. Just kind of hold my hands out like I'm not currently armed. I say to him, Mouse Leader, I admire your tenacity and your passion. However, we are clearly not your enemies. Right now, your men are being slaughtered by other mice and by something else out there. Something is hunting them and killing them in a far fiercer capacity than my mice could ever do. We should not be fighting each other and all dying. We should join up to make sure that our mice survive. Do you truly wish to see all of your troops die? For what? You said that we're not your kind, you don't even know who we are. You're willing to just risk it all to kill us?
To that, I'm gonna want you to make me... That's Orator. I'm willing to let you make circles as well on top of that. So circles plus Orator will be 5.
I think I have a 3 in Orator.
You could also do no, you have a 1 in Orator. Persuader, actually, in this instance. You have a 3 in Persuader. Take that.
Oh, that's what I was thinking of. Okay.
Orator's really more to, like, a grander audience. When you were shouting at this dude abstractly, because you couldn't really see him, that's Orator. This is personal tete-a-tete. That's Persuader. So I'll let you make a Persuader roll, and I'll let you add your circles into it.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
That's
I'm
very
happy
good.
with that roll.
Nice.
6. So, the mouse looks at you, eyes narrowed, and you can see up close now this Bond's mouse's face with the paint smeared over his fur in thick, heavy globs, like it was wiped rapidly over it. As the white paint that makes that barn owl face sort of crinkles and crunches as his brow furrows further. And he's looking at you for a long time. his crossbow held up, ready to fire, knife in his hand across his chest, getting ready to run. And for what seems like an eternity, you just stand there. He takes the blade and puts it back inside the holster. And puts the crossbow back onto his back. And you hear a little click as it fits into a hook on his back. You're my enemy, because I am sworn to your enemy. But I have no interest in dying today. Mouse. Betrayer. Cowards. And he turns and runs and leaps off of the deck onto Garo's head, who you hear an as like this happens, and he runs along Garo's head and bounces off his hard, bony nose and dives into the brush. And you can see him skittering up a tree into the darkness, and then a squeak, squeak, flap, flap, flap sound as a mouse hanging from a bat disappears off into the night. There is no
he
final
really
set
is
of
a
screams.
mouse traitor and a coward.
There is no final set of screams or further sight of the weasel. Gone as fast as you saw him. The whole area falls quiet, silent, as the grave, as wind whistles through the trees. Combat over.
We lived.
You did.
We did it.
I think this is as good a place as any to end the session. Unless you guys want to go a little further. Your call. I'll leave it in your hands.
Past my bedtime.
Yeah, let's get you to sleep, buddy. Thank you guys.
Thank
for
you
the
for
great
running,
session.
man. This was awesome, dude. Hell yeah, I had a great time.
My pleasure. I can't wait for you guys to keep going. And I told you, you are getting into war now. You are welcome to Wild Country. Welcome to the Animal Kingdoms. They are
Oh, yeah.
savage, brutal places.
Welcome to the jungle.
Well, thank you for the baller session, dude. Had a great time. Let's do our shout outs, Natalie. Where can people find you?
Oh, I'll be here this Saturday playing Puppet Syndicate as usual. And then Wednesday after this one, or did I say that right?
Next
I'm
Wednesday.
tired too.
This coming Wednesday. Wednesday.
Next one. Not this coming Wednesday, next Wednesday, back to Mouse Guard.
Yes.
And that's about it for me.
Awesome. Well, thank you, baby. I love you. Appreciate you being here as always. Omni, what's good in your hood, dude?
Well, hello, everyone. I'm the last Omnitech, your favorite One American. Thank you, Derek, as always, for the opportunity to run this fun game on your channel. I
Thanks
love
for running
running
it,
Mouse
man.
Guard for you guys.
Awesome.
You guys probably will know I've been busy up the wazoo the past couple of weeks. While I haven't been very active on social media or on my channel, that's because I've been doing a lot of prep work for Mouse Guard and for the two big things that are coming up. Not this week, but next Thursday, I'm going to be attempting this time to run episode 1 of Skies of Britannia
Let's fucking go.
on my channel, twitch.tv/LastDomAttack. Finally!
Hell yeah.
I apologize for everyone who was excited for the first session 0. We found out the hard way that my PC cannot run VDO and also run the game at the same time. It will not happen. So we're trying it again with a slightly jankier but far less computer-intensive Discord setup, and it's working good. So that's not this Thursday, next Thursday, 7:30 p.m. EST, twitch.tv/LastDomDetect. And not this Saturday, but next Saturday, Legacy Storytelling of the World Tomorrow, but specifically Legacy First Flight, my first ever campaign run of my tabletop RPG, 20 years in the making, being run on Derek's channel, Session 1, baby. I'm super hyped. It's been a blast so far. Everyone's been really productive and
yeah.
really helpful helping make
Super
this
fucking
game.
stoked.
I'm so happy to have you all involved. And I am currently working behind the scenes on getting that open beta for everyone out there who wants to play the game to be able to access it for free. As long as you're on the channel and you jump on my Discord, I'll have an open link for anyone who's interested in popping in and taking a look and running it themselves. I will be constantly updating it, letting you guys know what's going on. Those are the games I'm running, besides Mouse Guard, which you guys know in 2 weeks. I'm also still doing and returning finally to my Wednesday rule smithy sessions at 10:30 a.m. EST, where we build rules and campaign settings and the structures around games together. I'll be doing either Legacy or Mouse Guard every other week, cycling out, occasionally a Tanria as well, which is a Pathfinder 2e game. I also have tomorrow the Breakfast Club, 10:30 a.m. EST. And guess what, guys? Destiny Lightfall is out. Guess who's playing that live?
Pog.
So yeah, if you
Nice.
guys want to come hang out, join our clan, do whatever, I'm gonna be having a fun time blasting through that tomorrow. And then finally, every other Saturday when I'm not running Legacy, I will be doing the Stellar Forge, where I do world building and art on my channel. Same thing, 10:30 a.m. EST. So that's me. I'm super busy. Keep an eye out. I'll be putting out alerts on Twitter and on Discords for these things. Thank you guys so much for this awesome time. I love you guys.
Thank you, buddy. Much love to you. Much appreciated as
Definitely.
always. Can't wait for more. Hell yeah. Well, folks, I don't know if you knew this or not, but you can get 10% off your own BMDM Studios custom dice case over at ko-fi.com/theshadysale by using code RPGINN at checkout. They are beautiful. They absorb sunlight. They can be used as an arcane focus to give you +1 to your spell save DC versus necromancy. So definitely check them out. But yeah, that's been it for us, guys. We're going to be raiding into Ocarina Sheev. Ocarina Sheev's been a long time friend of the channel. He one of the first people to ever raid into us. So, got to share some love, be nice and positive when we get in there. But I love y'all. I will see y'all tomorrow for Elden Ring at about 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Really looking forward to that, getting back more into the lands between. So stoked for the DLC announcement. Beyond exciting. Saturday at 12:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, you can catch us live with Booty, a piratical 5e campaign. 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, you can catch us live with Covet Syndicate, where we see what happened to the party after they died. On Sunday, I'm probably not going to stream this week. Probably going to take all of Sunday off and just chill. And so that means no secret stream. Tuesday, I am going to be doing a playtest for the game that I've been working on, which Omni has been wonderful enough to volunteer himself to help me with, as have a number of our other homies. And then next Wednesday you can catch us here live with Deathwatch, Kill Team Last Bastion, where it's just gonna get crazy. But I love you guys. I appreciate you, and I will see you tomorrow.